of the United States airspace, and make sure that inventory is accessible and up to date. Second, we'll implement further measures to improve our capacity to detect unmanned objects in our airspace. Third, we'll update the rules and regulations for launching and maintaining unmanned objects in the skies above the United States of America. And fourth, my Secretary of State will lead an effort to help establish common global norms in this largely unregulated space.
We're all going to use F-22s.
These steps will lead to safer and more secure skies.
Shoot down every
for our
octagon
air
we can
travelers,
find.
our military, our scientists, and for people on the ground as well. That's my job as your President Commander-in-Chief.
We got it.
As the events of the previous days have shown, we'll always act to protect the interest of the American people and the security of the American people. Since I came to office, we've developed the ability to identify, track, and study high-altitude surveillance balloons connected with the Chinese military.
Good timing.
When one of these high-altitude surveillance balloons entered our airspace over the continental United States earlier in the month, I gave the order to shoot it down as soon as it would be safe to do so. The military advised
He's got to make it about. He's like, remember when you said I didn't do it? I did it, okay, as soon as I could. And his press conference is mostly about me jacking off with the weather balloon and not telling you anything about the UFOs.
Exactly. We're deterring us.
Oh my god.
We're not going to learn anything from this video.
No, let's stop.
Let's fucking go.
It's the Dylan Joyceman podcast, dude.
Where we starting this? We in?
We're rolling.
All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Dylan Joe
Basement Podcast.
Basement Podcast. We're your hosts. We're one down today, as we've been one down for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So it's Captain Dylan and Captain Joe here.
Yep. Dom's catalytic converter on his Scirocco went down, so
Also,
obviously,
yeah.
you can't just drive around without it. I know what it sounds like. It's like a monster truck. So
Yeah, it
obviously
smells like gas.
Yeah, it's bad news. But he has to put it in for the winter anyways. It has to hibernate so it can regenerate its powers.
Long night of re-welding in a cat.
Yeah. So he's busy right now. He would love to be here.
It's just me and Joe. We've got some interesting stuff going on in the world that we feel since. I mean, I think we're the main news source for a lot of you guys.
You folks know when this certain type of event happens, we have to address it.
We have to.
We just must. I mean, remember the huge disclosure discussion we had?
It's the keystone of our podcast is sometimes
the
aliens and UFOs.
Exactly. The whole Varginha UFO in Brazil.
Poltergeists and whatever it is. Yeah. Varginha.
And now we have, back on our doorstep again, not since the days of the heyday of Roswell have we had this much active participation and openness by the U.S. government.
And honestly, it was probably the last time.
Yeah.
Like
that it was that public.
It was that public because it was in 1947 when Roswell happened. It was public for a bit until they realized this is like we're going to shut this down and all of a sudden became a weather balloon.
And this might happen again, so we're trying to get it in now.
Yeah, we're trying to get it
Under
now.
the wire.
And if you guys will see, me and Joe just listened to Joe Biden's.
We did. He just spoke today.
He just spoke today, which today's what, the 16th of February. He just spoke and gave his little bit of disclosure of his knowledge about giving the orders to shoot down a bunch of weather balloons, UFOs, He's got
a couple ideas what they are, but basically as of right now, they're unidentified flying objects or identified aerial phenomena. I would say they're objects because they were successfully shot down.
Yeah, that's an
object.
So
they are an object.
Yeah, phenomenon is like...
could be lights, could be...
Is like a... It could be anything. I mean, what's a phenomenon? I mean... that, or...
Phenomenon.
Or like all of a sudden everyone's acting
it's
weird.
a great John Travolta movie where he becomes psychic. It's called Phenomenon.
Oh, is that what that noise was?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it.
It's
Is it good?
No.
No,
but it's funny.
it's John Travolta, and it's not good.
Yeah, it's before Pulp Fiction. It's when he was in his rut that he was in. After that,
A little rut between.
yeah,
Pulp
he did a movie
Fiction
called Michael,
and-
where he was the Archangel Michael who came to Earth, and he's like,
Are
"Hey,
you shitting
Sandy,
me?
I'm God's hammer. You know what I'm talking about."
He really did that.
Yeah, it's called Michael. Yeah, he really did. Yeah, so he had a bit of a fucking dip there. For
So
a bit.
he was, instead of Jesus coming back to life, it was
an
just
archangel.
one archangel who
Yeah.
comes down.
Yeah, and he was
fucking
Michael. The guy.
80s?
No, this is early '90s, late
Early
80s. Yeah, because Pulp Fiction I think was '96, and that was like he had been kind of like, all right, this guy sucks now for a while, and then Tarantino's like, no, I want Travolta.
So he went from Grease to like a bunch of bullshit.
Saturday Night Fever.
To,
He had a good run for a while.
He's not a bad guy.
And then after that, I think his tank ran pretty dry, and then he started doing Phenomenon and shit like that. And
everyone's
still
doing-
major,
Some of those are pretty good
production movies.
I mean,
but
when we first came into the basement today, I was watching The Stuff.
the stuff, yeah,
The Stuff.
That's right. Is that from the '80s?
It's 85.
85, yeah.
85. Some of those movies are I'm really
You
into.
gotta call that. I would say it's like they do it with comic books where they have the golden, silver age, and bronze age. That's definitely the silver age of horror is like the '80s when like
Yeah.
they brought it up. Actually, I guess if you really were technical about it, the golden age is like fucking black and white stuff. And,
Of horror?
Yeah,
I'd say the golden age is the 70s.
that's what I was thinking when I said that was
73 was Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah, that's the golden
And
age.
like House on Sorority Row and fucking Black Christmas and fucking
Hills Have Eyes.
Hills Have Eyes. The first one.
The Exorcist. Yeah,
The Exorcist.
yeah, it was a lot of good.
What
ones.
else was the first?
Halloween.
Halloween.
Yeah.
Yep. All that stuff. So
And
I'd
then
say
of course
the
the
70s.
'80s. You know, you got fucking Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street,
The Chopping Mall.
Chopping Mall,
Of
the
course.
stuff.
The Stuff. Chopping Mall. The
Killer
Thing.
Clowns from Outer Space, The Thing. Yeah.
Yep.
The Shining.
The Shining.
Yeah.
All good.
All right. Well, this is all great to talk about.
It was great to talk about.
Let's talk about that, but
But
we had some kind of point there. Oh yeah, just watching the stuff. Pretty cool.
Yeah, watch this.
Aliens.
Aliens. So I gotta say, because it's the place. This is a place where you can say things that are.
This is an undisclosed location. I'm not gonna call it a safe space, but it's something like that.
So, yeah, I wouldn't say it's a safe space. It's a dangerous place. I'm feeling dangerous right now.
Yeah, I feel like we're on the highway to the danger zone,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna take
Speaking
it
of
right into the
days.
danger zone.
So
Oh, Travolta. That's how we got there. Phenomenon. What a fucking trip that was.
I am going to sound crazy, and it's fine because it is, and it's likely not anything.
So it's the Dylan Joe Basement podcast.
Exactly.
He's back, baby.
So as crazy as I am, and as true, genuine believer in aliens, I think you're naive and stupid if you don't believe in them.
Yeah.
And UFOs and all those things. Nothing to do with what's going on now. It's just the universe is just way fucking big.
Yeah.
The probability of there being like other
the probability
dimensions that
is
are
so
the same thing that me
overwhelming.
and Joe are doing the same thing in another place is actually somewhat possible.
Yeah, it's
like there's
the
the
sheer
Dylan Joe
numbers.
Basement podcast 1 billion trillion light years away that's happening at the same moment is actually fucking possible. So aliens, we know how I feel about them. But so during the time all of my catalytic converters were getting stolen from all of the cars in my yard.
Yeah.
All fucking 4 of them.
Yeah, well,
some guy just came and took all of them.
Well, because we had to do toilet wines because you actually took a catalytic converter to the head and you ended up in the hospital. But you're okay now.
I'm good now. Good
Yeah.
now. Yep. Good
That
now.
was a rough time.
That was a rough time.
But he's back.
I'm back, and know what I did instead of dealing with it? I went to Dubai.
See, that's what you did. Sometimes you just need to go find
You
yourself.
just gotta go get out of here.
Yeah.
You know, you gotta go
He's got wanderlust.
get out of here. You
And
gotta
just
go.
lust.
You know what, Joe? I'm not gonna worry about the catalytic converters today. I'm gonna get on an airplane.
And I fully supported him in that
Yeah.
decision.
It's like when COVID first happened.
You got on an airplane?
The second your test turned positive, book a flight to Europe.
That's the move.
That's the move right there. That's it.
get
You
outta
and your
here.
entire family all get the double red line. Go to Europe.
What are you going to be stuck in your house?
Yeah. No,
Fuck that.
Go to fucking Europe.
See the world.
Pack the bags. Get on an airplane. That's the standard protocol for having COVID in 2020.
Yep.
Just like me, my catalytic converters get stolen.
Off to Dubai.
Go to Asia. Is that it? It's Asia. Yeah, go to Asia.
Yeah, I guess it is. You always talk about the
Western
Middle East like
Asia?
it's its own company
It's
or own
fucking-
country.
Its own company.
Okay, continent. Okay. But yeah, it is part of Asia.
Yeah, it's Asia.
I mean, I guess it goes into Africa once you hit like Egypt and stuff, but all that's Asia.
Yeah, because that's a different continent.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's right there. Egypt's like
Yeah, I think Egypt is like officially Africa, but everything before that's
Egypt
still
is
Asia.
definitely Africa. You
Yeah.
know that, which is so strange, but it is.
But it's like any continent, like it bleeds over. Like in Mexico, is part
Egypt
of North
is connected
America.
to like is like a
The hip bone.
Yeah, but you can like drive to Israel from Egypt.
Yeah.
So went to Dubai.
These are all just human constructs, man. There's no such thing as Asia, dude.
Dude, you're right.
There's no such thing as countries, man. It's just people.
It's all and it is. The more you go out there, you realize it's all the same shit everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe
Everyone's catalytic converters again.
40 years ago, you could go to a place like Dubai, which is just a desert at that point, and then you have nothing but the people and their culture and their food. You go to Dubai now, it's just Long John Silver's and TGI Fridays.
Which is insane. He's not kidding about that.
I'm not kidding about that.
That's fucking
and
crazy.
Popeyes and McDonald's and Burger King.
Imagine getting a Popeyes
fucking-
in Dubai. Like, I'll take a 3-piece.
Dude, I got Popeyes in Dubai.
That's amazing.
And I was first night there, I had TGI Fridays. Like
That would be so funny to have one of those Instagram posts where you're like, oh, the food here, and it's just fucking Popeyes in a cardboard box.
So funny. Because it is, dude. Or you can go to a Middle Eastern restaurant and smoke hookah and eat baba ganoush and whatever it is. But
Baklava.
Dubai, it's all fucking new. But anyways, Dubai, I have no updates on. If you like malls, any other podcasts I hear just like misses the glory days 20 years ago in the United States of malls, but they still weren't enough for you then. Just go to Dubai. The whole fucking country's a mall. So unless you drive
it's
out.
the fucking Reaganomics right now in Dubai. It's the fucking roaring 80s. Like,
It's
we got
the
malls,
roaring-
we got consumerism, unfettered capitalism. Let's fucking go.
Times a million.
And that'll probably
It's
work
way
forever.
worse than
just like in
anything the US
America, if you
ever
just
saw.
do that, it'll just keep going up, and nothing bad will ever happen.
Yep.
Just like how it happened in America, just
Dude,
right up.
who knows? 'Cause
Trickle
their
down
government
economics,
is
baby.
run so much different than ours. I have no idea what Dubai's going to look in 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
There's just constant construction of
Well, I know
giant
it's going to be
buildings.
like the military-industrial complex, where you just need to keep feeding it. you have to keep
They're
fighting wars.
they have
They have to keep building malls, or they're fucked.
Yeah, they're just going to keep doing it. It's going to keep growing and growing. It's just a weird fucking place.
So much money.
But anyway, so I was there, and that's all I have to say about Dubai is that, like, if you don't like alcohol and you like shopping,
That's the place for you.
that's great. But if you do like alcohol, they do have a place for you. And it is a hotel bars only. Is like a blacked out door. You walk in.
It's fucking
and it's
speakeasy.
no rules.
Just
It's
right. So it's an
literally-
Outback Steakhouse.
It's literally you go sit at a bar. Yeah, it's just the Outback Steakhouse, which they have.
They have Outback there
Dude,
too.
I'll show you pictures of all the things.
It's
they
so
do.
funny
It's so
because the
funny.
Outback is not Australian; it's an American concept. We found
Baskin
out.
Robbins, like it's just all the same
Oh my
shit.
god! Do they have all the flavors there too? All 38?
Wow, I didn't go, but I bet they do.
But they have a baklava flavor one.
I'm sure they do. Baklava flavor one.
Fuck yeah!
So, that's Dubai. But anyway, so the bars there really funny. You walk in and you can smoke cigarettes, drink, and there's prostitutes at the bar, drinking like Duval.
It's the American dream.
Yeah.
It's before fucking FDR came along and fucking put the kibosh on everything.
Yeah, fucking idiot.
I guess Great Depression, World War II happened, but we can blame somebody, can't we?
Yeah, we can blame him.
I'll blame him.
But it's just so funny. You can't drink anywhere, but if you do decide to, it's just
It's
Wild
fully
West.
Las Vegas.
Yeah, just everyone at the bar is smoking cigarettes again and drinking beers.
It's
and,
so funny where it's like that's just the place for it. Like where
Like
everything's
just
happening.
all the bullshit's happening in one spot, and then
That's
you
awesome.
just can't talk about it, and you just leave and go back to your room like it never happened. So strange.
You
so
know,
anyway,
more places should be like that.
You know, it was a kind
Even
of,
in America, we have this one place you go do everything, you go home, don't fucking talk about it, all right? And you go to the mall.
Well, that's what Dubai. You can. The country was founded on money laundering and prostitution.
Yeah, like
which is
America.
still
we've
going
been
on.
saying, yeah.
Yeah, it's still going on. You just can't talk about it. That's what the locals told me. Like, if that's the fucking your thing, you can just go there and do all this stuff. Just don't be loud.
Yeah, it's gonna happen anyway. You might as well let it happen, but just don't have people advertising it. You know, you don't want to make them look bad.
Yeah, don't get in a fight. Don't yell. Don't scream. Don't like make a thing of it. But like, you walk all over the city.
Don't
There's
say you don't believe
business-
in God.
There's business cards all over the ground that just have like naked chicks on them and a WhatsApp number. Like,
Oh, yeah,
all
WhatsApp
over the
is
streets.
huge, huh?
All over the streets is just like these little things. And I have a funny story because I picked up one because it was funny.
Oh, the card.
The card.
I thought you were talking about the girl.
Someone told it. Someone told me about one of my people there told me about it, and I was like, "Holy shit! Look at what it is!" And I picked it up right in front of a camera because there's cameras everywhere.
Oh man!
And then I was like, I thought this was funny. This is a mistake.
It's
and
not
then,
as funny now.
Then I was gonna throw it back on the ground. And then I was like,
Now I'm littering.
now they're gonna think that I'm littering or I'm the guy putting these down.
Oh yeah, so you had to eat it.
So I put it in my pocket and then got in the Uber.
This is a story you wrote for how you didn't actually want to call her. Oh, I just because the camera and I had to put it in my pocket.
Yeah, exactly. And then I had it, and I thought it was funny. And then I was like, all right, well, I'm going to be flying out of here and then be flying into other parts. I was going to go to Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
And then I'd have that in my bag, and they search everything.
Oh,
and I
now
was
you
like, they
get
might find
pornography.
this. Yeah, not good. So I was like, I don't know what to do with this now. Like, I was
You have to eat it, right?
So what I did is I ripped it up and put it in the toilet.
There you go. Flushed it. There you go. That's the only thing you know.
So I was like, what do I...
You don't want them going through your trash and looking at your credit card number and they go, oh, this guy's fucking...
No. So...
I'm gonna fucking... what do you call it when you extradite you to fucking Saudi Arabia?
God.
This guy had a porno card.
Yeah, right. And she was just in a bikini, but that's enough for that.
That's porn there.
Yeah, like you can... Dubai's lighting up in Saudi Arabia. You can't even wear shorts if you're a guy. So...
Well, that's actually probably for the best. I love shorts, but I mean, come on.
Nothing like a tan Middle Eastern guy with like white legs. So anyways, that's Dubai, whatever about it. It's pretty, I don't know. There's other places I'd rather go. But I went to Israel after that, and whole fucking thing there. Jerusalem's got its own it's a crazy place. We'll talk later about another episode. But
yeah. We got an upcoming one we might mention.
Someone decided that we should go to the Holocaust Museum, whatever.
Don't you kind of have to though?
Well, it's really moving. It's a moving place. It's a good thing for everyone.
Yeah.
It was close. So
it's like your penance you have to do for being there. You're like, all right, I gotta fucking see the Holocaust. It's like when you fucking visit the concentration camps when you go to Europe. You're like, well, we're here. We got to see the Anne Frank house. Yeah. It's gonna be sad.
Here's the thing about that stuff though, is that as you get older, there's only so much you can take of that.
Yeah.
Like as high school kids, I think it's very important. It's important for everybody, but it's like
you have to
after a while.
It.
There's just too much emotion and too much something. It's like I'm tapped out. Like,
I'm not forming new ideas here. I'm just rehashing.
No, I'm just rehashing all the same things. Right. I've watched The Boy in Striped Pajamas. I've been to the Holocaust Museum in New York, and I don't think
I've seen Seinfeld. It's like I've done my time.
I don't think I need to go to Auschwitz. It's just I get it. Like it's obviously as fucked up as anything ever.
Yeah.
So I was there, but it was close. So I was laying on my back,
and it happened, Kanye.
And I had a thing about like Dubai. It basically Dubai. I know we're back to Dubai, but they literally just played Halo 2 in 2003 or 4, and then decided to make a city based off of all the architecture in Halo 2.
Well, that sounds beautiful.
That is cool.
Yeah.
It is worth your time to go see that because it's like this. Just everything there just looks like it's from Halo 2. So same.
Our gunships will turn your city into glass.
The Arbiter.
Arbiter.
And then the silent cartographer.
Halo's good.
Halo is fucking really good. And if you like Halo, just to see the things, just go to Dubai. Mm-hmm. Second thing, Holocaust Museum in outside of Jerusalem also looks exactly like Halo.
Really?
Yes.
I wouldn't have thought that.
Dude, really.
Because isn't the one in Germany like all like stone slabs and it looks like brutalist architecture and stuff? Or Berlin, I should say.
In Berlin, I haven't been to that one.
Because that one looks like it basically looks like big cement like monoliths all over it. It's very depressing looking.
It's pretty. So this isn't depressing looking, and everything's obviously supposed to invoke emotion in you.
Yeah.
And I mean, dude, you tell me what you think this looks like.
Dude, what an art project that is! You're gonna design the Holocaust Museum.
Like that's a building. This triangle.
Damn.
It's straight up Halo, dude. Like,
yeah.
This is it's like really cool.
And is the whole top glass, that whole section there? Like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, this is very like that level in Halo where it's the mountains and you, the ship when you first get dropped off on the Spartan ship and then you.
Yeah, I couldn't remember the name of that.
I forget, but it was that is Halo 1 actually.
Yeah, yeah.
But we'll post a picture.
Yeah,
of
you
this.
send me that for the.
Yeah, so meaningful place, moving. Definitely a big part of moving forward in this world is visiting these places, but it was close. So I was there by the Halo.
There's only so much genocide you can take, though, in one vacation.
Exactly. So we had some time to kill, so I was just on my back, laying, looking at the sky, tired, and my eye floaters are real. So I was like looking up at the sky, and then just this one. If I were to give it an altitude, I would say it was probably at 15,000 or 20,000 feet, and. And it was a silver square rotating because every time it rotated, the sun would hit it and it would flash. I was like, oh, what's that? Like, it looked like a happy birthday balloon that was silver.
One of those Mylar balloons.
That was way high up, and it was spinning. And I was like, am I seeing this or is this an eye floater? And the reason I'm saying this is because I genuinely mean this as a crazy person.
I appreciate you putting that.
Thank you. I want to make sure everyone knows that I am a little nuts.
I'm sure people who listen to their podcast haven't drawn that conclusion.
Haven't figured that out yet. I say a lot of things on here that I have no recollection of. I'm like, wow, I said that?
I remember everything I've ever said in this podcast.
Joe does. Dom doesn't.
I don't either.
Towards the end,
I only remember because I'm editing it and they go,
blurry.
oh, I said that. Okay.
A little blurry at the end there.
Yeah.
But one, go to the Holocaust museums. They're worth it. It's worth your time.
You're going to have the time of your life.
Heartfelt, meaningful, moving. But it's close. But anyway, so I'm looking up and I'm like, is this an iFloater? Because I have a lot of them. Do you have any?
I get them every once in a while, but I wouldn't say I have a lot.
Permanent?
No.
I can see mine right now.
Okay, I can't. No.
Yeah, I've had them since I was a kid. Like, this isn't anything new.
Yeah, I don't have them.
But they trick you. And you look at the sky sometimes, and I see a lot of white flashes. Like, I get a lot of weird eye problems. And so I was looking at this thing, and I was like, wow. My point of what I just said is that I've never seen a UFO in my life.
Right. And you want to.
I want it so bad.
He's looking for him.
I'm looking. And
we used to sit right out there on the grass and just look up at the sky for like 2 hours and just be like, let's go.
Yeah, we would
Talking
call them on. We would try to see them. Nothing around. We see satellites all the time. And it's so easy to point on a satellite. And at first you think it's a UFO, but it's a fucking satellite.
Yeah.
And
I do think that, before you go on though, I think a big part of that, which I brought up on our past podcast, which now said my catchphrase, we talked about this before, the fact that you haven't seen UFOs is due to your expertise on air traffic. Because if you didn't know shit about it, every little satellite you'd see, you'd be like, oh, I saw like 10 UFOs this week. But because you actually know shit about it, you're more discerning between what you're seeing and you can explain it away.
Exactly.
Whereas someone who lives in the middle of Wyoming and has never been on a plane before, they see a flashing satellite and it's not traveling like a plane.
Yeah.
It's like, that's a fucking UFO. But you know a little bit more, so it's not that they're not out there, it's that you're more discerning with your description of it.
Thank you. I appreciate the compliment because I'm actually pretty good. And to a lot of people, you could be out 3 a.m. on your back looking at the sky, and then all of a sudden you see a really bright flash.
And I'd be lying if I didn't see stuff where I was like, I'm going to check this out because this is abnormal. Yeah.
And satellites also spin and they reflect the sun. So you might get a bright flash all the time and you're like, that must have been a UFO, whatever. It's a fucking satellite that the sun hit.
Yeah.
So...
And they're far enough away where the sun's on the other side of the planet,
Earth,
they can still hit it.
It's because that's up... that the satellite could be 100,000 miles above Earth.
Not that many, but yeah.
Really?
100,000 miles? I think it's
the
too
moon's
far.
220. So
Isn't the moon's only? I think the moon's like 2 million, right? Is it only 220,000?
The moon's 230,000 miles from Earth.
Oh, okay. Well, if that's true, then the satellites aren't even close to that much.
So they're not 100,000. They're so like the
miles though, not feet. Because
miles. So 230,000
isn't like
miles
until like
from
the brink of the atmosphere like 7 miles?
It's
smaller than you think it is.
7 miles would be 7, 40, 20, 35, 40. No, 7 miles would only be 50,000 feet. So
okay, so it's like what? Like let's say 30 miles.
Let's do feet for a second.
Okay.
Okay. Airliner travels. Let's just say 30. Let's say 40,000 feet. Just to
40,000.
make it easy.
Yeah.
They're less usually, but 40,000 feet.
So that's like a little less than 10 miles.
Yep. So 40,000 feet.
So 10 Mile High Club.
The U-2 spy plane flies like 85,000 feet.
Yeah.
SR-71 around there too.
Yeah.
So
satellites are
100,000
much
feet is
farther
still
away.
not out of the atmosphere. So
But you said 100,000 miles though. That's way too far.
I did. That's too far. So
maybe it's like
200,000 feet.
Sure. Yeah, that sounds reasonable.
300,000 feet, 400,000 feet,
because
something like that. Not miles.
Because if you look at like
halfway to the moon is not where satellites are.
Yeah. No. If you look at it like on a plane, then they're way out there. But if you zoom out at the planet, they're like right at the edge.
You're right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's just say 200,000 feet.
Sure. Yeah.
Just double it, make it easy. We don't know. We'll figure it out.
Keep double it to the
something. Joe's right. They're just right at the edge of fucking space.
But if you're looking at it from the ground, they're fucking way out there.
Yeah, they're way out there. So, given all that, and then one real thing that'll confuse people, and I actually was on Reddit, and I wrote to this guy, I'm like, no, you're wrong. There was a video of what looked like lights going horizontally across the sky and then just disappearing all the time. And how weird it was, and this guy's like, yeah, there's just UFOs or whatever it is. I looked up the location, found out where it is. There's an airport nearby. And when airplanes... depending on their landing path, they usually turn. Like if you're flying into Logan, you always fly over like Salem and turn down.
Then you turn, yeah.
So, but at that point, if their gear is down, their landing lights are on. That landing light is really bright. So it'll look like it's going sideways when it turns, and then it disappears because the light's not facing anymore.
Where'd it go?
They're gone. So that's one that gets people all the time. Like, I saw a bunch of UFOs. Like, there was actually just a line of airplanes trying to land.
Yeah.
So
whenever you see the consistency of stuff like that,
consistency,
then you're like, this can't be UFO because it's the inconsistency and the sporadic movement. That's what gets it to be like, we don't know what this is.
Well, or you think it's a UFO landing in a mountain and it's consistent because they all keep going into it.
Like but that's like
a basketball,
That's
into
that's
a hoop.
not
But
what it is.
There's so many things that can.
The more consistent something it is, the easier it is to explain it.
Exactly. Yeah. There's 99 million reasons why 99 billion% of UFO
take one down, pass it around.
So all these things aren't real. So this one got me because I don't have any explanation for it. And I was laying on my back and I'm looking at this thing and it was like a square box high up, let's say.
Not like one of those round boxes.
15,000 feet and spinning. And it wasn't like I just saw the flash. I saw it spinning and the light hit it every time.
And he wasn't drunk because he wasn't allowed to be by law. So you can't blame.
This is Israel at this point, so I was.
Oh, he was, but he wasn't.
And I saw that and I watched it just go across the sky really slow. It took 20 minutes to get it from one place to another.
That's slower than a plane by my account.
Definitely. 20 minutes, I was watching this thing, I'm like, holy shit. And I'd find it again. It was hard to see, but I eventually get it. And then eventually another one was there. In the same, like probably a little bit diagonal from it, but they were going at the same rate and both spinning. And I was like...
You could see both at the same time?
Both at the same time.
Okay.
And I was looking for a third one, there wasn't. And I was like, all right, well, I'll pull up my app to see if there's any airplanes or balloons, because it shows balloons.
Did that work in
Flight Radar 24
Middle East as well?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I can pull up right now I can pull up any airplane anywhere that has that type of radar on. Shit. And nothing was there. And I was like,
ooh,
I don't know.
That's strange.
This is the first time I actually have one that I can't explain.
I like that.
First time.
You had to go across the pond to get it, but you did get it.
I did, and I got it. And it was over Israel, which is definitely a hotspot for UFO sightings.
And then at the end of the story, it was like...
yeah. Then I saw an F-22. And
what the hell was that?
Yeah.
That's wild, though.
Yeah, it was cool. I was gonna say, as a psycho, it was the first time. First time I ever saw something. I go, I don't know what that was. Yeah, that's all. I don't know what it was.
That is interesting.
They were there. There was something.
No, I can't explain it.
That was pretty cool. And they were high up, and they were square boxes, and they were spinning. And
that is the weird part too. The shape of it, and obviously you know how to differentiate landing lights and shit like that.
Yeah.
And so fucking weird.
Traveling really slow, so it could have been a balloon of some sort, but they were like square. It wasn't like a round balloon.
Yeah.
And they were really high up. It was.
And you
really
think it was
odd.
reflecting the sun? That's why the lights were
reflecting
flashing?
the sun.
Okay, yeah. So it didn't have.
They were
its own
silver.
light.
They were like shiny silver boxes.
Gotcha. Yeah,
spinning really slowly like this. So that was cool.
That was cool.
And I was like, wow, I just saw something for the first time in my life I can't explain. Wow. Everything else I've got understood. Besides one time I was in York, Maine at the Nubble Light, and I saw green lights in the sky, which were probably just spotlights of some sort, but I was like...
we have that footage, at least they're talking about the footage, and one of our most viewed videos of all time, the Nubble Lighthouse episode, part of the Marlboro group. Yep, that was good. No, that was the York, Maine group. Oh, a different,
that was good.
The guy's on a market.
Yeah, that was the sinking of the, I was going to say Andrea Doria, but no, that brings us to Michigan. We'll get there in a minute.
We'll get there.
But, no, that was a shipwreck there. Pretty cool story.
A shipwreck, yeah.
So that does bring us into what's going on here. So if you guys haven't picked up on it already...
you made it this far.
You made it this far in the air and space conversation.
Mm-hmm. And John Travolta. It's a phenomenon.
It's been a long road back quarterly.
Mm-hmm. And it's a long road to the top if you want to rock and roll. We all know that.
Yep. and
all the rest.
And moonwalkers. So,
So what we're talking about today, obviously, is the complete current event to the point where we just talked about the president just addressed it near hours ago about... we've all heard about this news story about the Chinese weather balloon, which is what they're calling it. I don't know if that's really what we should call it. I don't know.
China balloon.
China balloon. Let's call it that because I don't want to give it a purpose because even China is kind of cagey about the purposes. And I think the part of that was funny that they were like, It's just a weather balloon. It's not a big deal. And then we shot it down. They're like, you can't just shoot down our shit. It's like, that wasn't a big deal. It's like, well, it's not. Until you shoot it down.
It was only 3 school buses big. It's not a big.
Yeah, and it was way bigger than I thought. I thought a weather balloon would be like the size of my car. 3 school buses?
No, have you?
So how big are those solar panels? There's like 30 feet of fucking solar panels?
So the balloon itself is 3 school buses tall.
It's insane.
And then the solar panels themselves, probably at least 1 school bus.
That's huge. It's way bigger than you think. Well, because they're so high up. The pictures are like this little thing.
Yeah, you see a picture of a weather balloon, and you're like, oh, it looks really small. It's like they're fucking
gigantic.
Yeah.
And I did find out this week that there is an international agreement, like a Geneva Convention style thing, where that you are not allowed to shoot down weather balloons. Like, it's okay for countries to use weather balloons to designate the weather and use meteorology to try to figure out what's going to happen with them. That every country in the world that's recognized by the UN has signed an agreement that says, like, if a balloon comes over, if you ask us about it, we'll tell you what it is. But it has to be for the purposes of meteorology only. There's certain dimensions you have to fit. There's certain, like, it has to be a certain weight. It can't be a certain size. It can't have any devices on it that collect anything besides weather data. So, of course, there is a like catch-all thing where I'm sure there's been weather balloons over the United States that have been confirmed weather balloons from, like, you know, Mexico, Canada, whatever, fucking Hawaii, whoever else. That's probably USA too. But, you know, and they don't tell us about it because it's like, oh, this is just an understood thing by international law. But this one doesn't sound like it fits any of those parameters besides that it's a balloon. It's the only thing that's allowed about it.
It's a balloon with a payload.
With a payload, yeah.
Payload.
You know,
so
I heard a great theory this week, which is that it's actually full of. I'm trying to quote this guy exactly. I bet the balloon's full of bacteria viruses from China, and when they just wanted us to shoot it down.
I was going to say COVID 2023.
That would have been more clever than this guy who thinks bacteria viruses exist and that the balloon was full of them.
I didn't even realize that. Bacteria viruses. Yeah. Yes.
And if you shoot the balloon, it's all full of it, and then it spills out, and that's just what they wanted.
Nothing like a good old bacteria virus, you know?
Yeah. I love the idea that they designed it to go over the United States, but they were hoping you could pop it for them. They didn't think of that part. Yeah. They just fill it full of bacteria viruses, and I guess a little bit of helium just to make it float.
Yeah, they're going to get us. It's those old bacteria viruses.
I don't know what that balloon was, but I know it wasn't full of bacteria viruses.
Yeah. Nope. Maybe wish it was full of pot
candy?
Stickers.
Oh, pot. Oh, man.
So good. Some homemade Chinese pot stickers from China.
Drop
nice those on us any day, man.
Yeah,
dude. Dumplings with soy sauce.
That. Yeah.
I'll take that all day, dude.
And it's so cold up there. It's not going to go
chicken.
bad. It'll stay fresh until...
Fresh as fuck, dude. You're negative 60 degrees up there.
Oh,
right?
yeah. You're fresh.
Fucking fresh. Flash frozen. If they got up there quick enough. But
yeah,
could flash freeze them on the ground. Then by the time they thawed out, they would already be
They wouldn't
cold.
even thaw.
They wouldn't thaw. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it would be good.
Yeah.
So that'd be nice.
You would transport food. They're using these giant ships. They're using all this gas. Like, fuck it. Just send a balloon up in dumplings.
Well, honestly,
send it right over.
It's not a bad idea for international trade.
It's only bad because of the inconsistency of coordination. Because the balloons don't steer themselves.
No, but you get a jet stream. They could figure out.
Yeah, but it could end up 300 miles this way, 300 miles that way. That's a little bit too much for a consistent.
It's like what's that game? Fortnite.
Yeah.
With the school bus.
Well, I think it's definitely a good idea to use after the apocalypse to be able to trade because you're not going to have these giant cargo ships anymore.
Yeah, they launched that fucker from China and it came here.
Yeah.
You know, that's...
And I mean, and I think that we can pretty much say at this point that wasn't their first rodeo at that.
No.
I know they're trying to say, you're just trying to blame Trump for not shooting it down. It's like, no, I bet it's been happening for years and years.
There was 4 of them that Trump didn't shoot down.
That's what I heard. Yeah. But people are saying they made that up to make it look bad. But, you know, people say all kinds of stuff. So, yeah, I'm sure that we've seen them in the past. And like they said, they were tracking it since it was over the Pacific. So we found out about when it was over Montana. It had been traveling... Or Idaho, It had been traveling they were tracking it. I mean, fucking NORAD was tracking it the whole time.
Yeah.
Which, if people don't know what NORAD is, it's, I don't remember what the acronym is.
North.
Okay.
Air Defense. Something Air Defense.
Basically what it is it's a data center that tracks everything flying in the fucking world, and it's in a mountain in Colorado, if I'm correct about that.
I think they have multiple...
So it's protected. Yeah, that's like the famous one. They probably have a bunch of other ones.
Yeah, headquarters is in Colorado.
And it's inside a mountain so that if the nukes do start falling, they'll tell us first, and they'll still be able to recognize what's going on even after the apocalypse happens. And when you go in there... I've seen some cool videos where it's like it's like a giant tunnel you used to drive for like a couple miles just to get that deep in.
It's under The
It's under a
Colorado
mountain.
Denver airport that's full of Illuminati.
Yeah, that one.
That one,
Yeah,
yeah.
they took NORAD's idea.
Yep.
But yeah, so basically that place is and obviously you can track things a lot smaller than a 3 school bus sized balloon. So
Yeah.
basically they knew about this for a long time before they told us about it. And you can just take that as a blanket statement for every fucking thing we hear, by the way. As far as military recon information, they knew about it before you did. And everyone decided you got to know.
Which is so
You don't just
strange.
find out, it didn't just slip out, you know.
Which is so weird that they
Why
decided
did
to
they tell?
disclose this.
Yeah.
So there's this theory
Was
going
it just
on.
people were finding videos of it and they were like, we have to say something about it?
I don't know. But
'Cause
I know that...
If
like,
there was
there's
4 beforehand, no one had a video of it, but all the pictures I saw were not government-issued videos. They were civilian or journalistic photos of it.
So there's something called Project Bluebeam going
Oh,
on.
Blue Beam. I thought you said Blue Book.
Blue Book ended in like the 90s or 80s or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Started
And Blue's Clues ended
Project
after,
Blue Book started
Joe
in
got
47
fired.
because of
Or
Roswell, and as
Steve.
the Air Force had Dr. Alan Hynek, who is an actual scientist, paired with the Air Force to investigate.
You always have to say actual scientist when it comes to UFO shit because there's so many.
He was a real one.
goofballs.
He was a scientist first, and then he's the one who claimed the term swamp gas and all that stuff because he's trying to find explanations for all these UFO sightings.
You're right.
He was paired with the Air Force, and they did their searches forever and that type of thing. But then Project Bluebeam is like this new conspiracy that exists that they're trying to hide something bigger by showing
Giving you
us
smaller
this stuff.
Yeah.
They were like, we're all scared of these things, but there's something way bigger going on.
Yeah.
That's what that is
And as
about.
much as I want to push back against every conspiracy theory, when it comes to shit about the government pulling the wool over your eyes to change your opinion on shit, the track record is so bloody that I almost have to take it seriously, at least for a moment.
Well, that's the thing with it. It's like the government is, with the fucking train derailing recently.
Oh God!
And
what a week we've had.
Palestine.
Good
all these
fucking
things
Christ.
like they're and there's some real problems, and we can't trust them.
This might be all your problem. You fly over to the Middle East, the fucking earthquake happens,
Come back
you fly back, there's a train wreck in Palestine, Ohio.
Right.
Who even knew there was a Palestine, Ohio?
No one did. I saw Palestine. I'm like, what the fuck? I was like, oh, Palestine, Ohio, so strange.
Yeah.
So we'll get to that in a minute, but yeah. So this balloon was tracked, got shot down, and it was at like 65,000 feet, like way higher than
Yeah, that's the thing.
commercial
Weather
traffic.
balloons do not travel, even as high as planes travel, they are like a double, exponentially higher than that.
Yeah, exactly. And like
That's how you
the
track all the
highest
upper
commercial
atmosphere.
jets fly at 45,000 feet, sometimes 50, and it's like a private company's Learjet.
Yeah. We're into like military airspace if you're
Yeah.
actually not in a balloon.
Exactly, like U-2 stuff. Like,
Yeah.
like even fighter jets will occasionally go 60,000 feet or whatever it is
But
for
not
like
normally.
tests.
Yeah.
They don't fly at that. They still like to fly at 40,000 feet like the rest of us, or less.
We all like 40. That's our
40's a
comfort.
good- 40's a good
It's a
one.
Goldilocks zone.
Yeah, and the reason it's a Goldilocks zone is because the air gets thinner. So technically, you can take the Concorde, the beautiful fucking British Airways, Air
R.I.P.
France, fucking amazing airplane.
I can't wait till it's commercially viable to have that be an option for
supersonic
planes.
stuff.
Yeah.
Again. Yeah, so cool. You can. There's.
I watched the whole documentary on why
There's
we're
like-
never going to do it again, but I just wish they would just.
I think it
stop
will
that.
happen again, but the Concorde project.
The sonic boom was a huge part of why it was so tough to do
well,
it.
it took off out of JFK, and it wouldn't break the sound barrier till it was over the ocean.
Yeah.
but it was still.
But that's why it's like that was a perfect flight for it. Where you're like, why can't I take the Concorde from like Arizona to Nebraska? It's like, well, because like
you will never go supersonic, and it's 4 fighter jets in one as far as loud goes.
Sure,
'Cause
yeah.
it's a low bypass, 4 low bypass engines, which are the same.
supersonic
type of
planes
engines.
are meant for like a single pilot, like just moving, and you have like 100 people on that fucking thing, and like the fridge and the fucking you know.
Well, it worked really well. The reason
Yeah.
it failed is because 1, it's expensive as fuck to operate that thing. 2, 9/11 happened, and then
ruined everything.
Air France had the crash that happened.
That
over,
was probably a big PR.
That was a
thing.
big part of it, and then so it just economically it didn't make sense anymore because
Now, ironically, it probably
John
costs.
Lennon liked to fly on it.
Yeah,
you know,
that
like-
hippie. Now it probably costs because of inflation as much to fly in the Concorde as it does to fly to fucking Orlando, Florida, right
Dude,
now.
it was like $10,000 or $15,000 a ticket back in 1995.
wild.
Crazy, so cool. New York to London in 2 hours or whatever it was.
Yeah.
4 hours. I think it was 4. I don't.
Was it 4? I thought it was like 3.
I don't really know.
We'll look it up. In
It
the break.
wasn't a lot. You could get a pizza in New York City and still have it be hot if you wrapped it up enough.
And famously, someone did, right?
John Lennon used to do that.
There you go.
That was his move.
There you go. What a move.
Super cool, but low bypass engines are fighter jet engines. B-1 bomber has low bypass. All those airplanes have.
There's not really commercial airline things.
No, they're not. They're efficient at supersonic speeds, and under that, they're not that great, and they're so fucking loud.
Yeah, loud, and then also like the gas mileage at that low speed
not great.
Burns the shit out of it.
It burns the shit out of it. So like, they're just expensive to operate, and just again, you would take off out of JFK, and it was like, for people like us, cool as fuck, but everyone else was like, this is too loud. Like, they're fucking loud.
Yeah, I'd probably hate it if I lived right there, for sure.
I don't know, man. It's loud in a way that's the coolest goddamn thing ever. Like,
yeah, but you appreciate it.
Wow, shit, a Concorde's taking off.
If you could give a shit about airplanes, you just want to, like, fucking go to your deli job.
People don't.
You're probably like...
Most people don't. So,
yeah.
That was the Concorde. And why did we bring that up? Oh, because the altitude. So
yes.
So 65,000 feet. It's not. No one's fucking up there. So
no.
But anyway, so the first thing was February. Was it? No, it was January. Let's pull the timeline up.
Because the weather balloon.
Yeah. So the weather.
That
balloon,
was February. It hasn't been that long.
No, I think it was February 4th, right?
That sounds right.
The weather balloon. You have the timeline. Yeah. Okay. It's February 4th. So. It was shot down over the Atlantic Ocean. They first picked it up, entered Alaskan airspace on January 28th.
Yeah, they were tracking it since then. We didn't hear about it until it hit the continental United States.
Exactly. So then it drifted to Ohio, southeast down to the Carolinas. So they tracked it the whole time. And then once it was off the coast of South Carolina, they shot it down. And it was the size of 3 buses and was at 65,000 feet.
3 buses. That's like an Evel Knievel jump size balloon.
Exactly. So what's cool is, so we knew it was from China. We had the whole thing, and they said, "Oh, we made a mistake. It drifted." It's like, okay, and bullshit. And the thing is, my first question was, so we have it
drifted the exact jet stream to get like. How did it drift? It went exactly where it's supposed to go.
Exactly. Yeah, you can't. Right.
Where do you think it was going to go back the other way?
It's going to Alaska. Like, what do they think it's going to go up or down?
Yeah.
It's the jet stream. It's going to pick up whatever.
It went exactly where it was going to go.
The jet stream is just like in Finding Nemo when he gets to the turtles. It has a start and an end.
Hang 10, brother. Yeah, no, it's like your guys don't play down with us, China. You guys are smart as fuck, all right? Don't fucking play that game with us.
Yeah, we knew about this. So what I think
you can fucking lie to all your civilians because they're not allowed to know stuff, but you can't lie to the United fucking States of America, you motherfucking... I'm fucking pissed.
Got that right, Joe.
Sorry, I'm heated about this whole thing.
Yeah, I'm heated too. So the most important thing is that we're emphasizing that this was a known balloon from China. They admitted it. We knew it. All these things. My first question is, so we had an F-22 Raptor go up there off of South Carolina and shoot it down with I believe a Sidewinder missile, which is like super standard
air-to-air missile.
Air-to-air missile. There's the Sidewinder, and then there's the other one I forget. But anyways, Hellfire's air to ground.
Air to ground, gotcha.
There's a Sidewinder and a Sparrow.
Okay.
I think the Sparrow is renowned for being on the F-4 Phantom in Vietnam and really not doing well. Like half of them were duds. Sidewinder.
Hey, if you drop enough of them.
Sidewinder.
Sorry, Cambodia.
Sidewinder is great. Believe it's tracked. It picks up a radar signature.
I'm imagining it's like the Generation 7 of it, but it's the same missile we've been using for years.
They're like nice and slim. Little missile that goes like Mach 6.
They get the job done.
So the F-22, my first question is, I'm like, it's a fucking balloon. Why wouldn't you do what's called a gun run? F-22.
Strafe it.
F-22 has a 20 millimeter Gatling gun.
It's so funny that the F-22 Raptor has a fucking Gatling gun on it. Like, when are you ever going to use that?
I'll tell you why.
Let's hear it.
The F-22 Raptor has a Gatling gun because of the F-4 Phantom. Because the F-4 Phantom in Vietnam didn't have one.
Oh, and they wish they did.
So the F-4 did well, but it only had missiles because when it first came out, like, this is super technology. We don't need guns anymore. We have missiles.
Which now I'm in 2023 thinking that
first time in air combat where they were like, we don't need missiles. We have radar tracking and heat-seeking missiles.
Yeah, we don't need guns, you mean.
Yeah, we don't need guns. They realized that a lot of their combat with the MiG-15s and MiG-21s of Vietnam, they would be behind them and too close to use a missile, or the missiles sucked.
So
they would get a real track on it, and go, and then I'd launch a missile and it'd just go, or it'd miss, or it wouldn't come out, or all these things.
Yeah.
So they're like, we need guns because we're up against these guys with like the F-4 was kind of big compared to all the MiGs back then, and it didn't have.
It was a big honking.
It didn't have like as much of a good turning radius. It wasn't as maneuverable. It was
but
better.
The Raptor is so much not like that. It's like
it's so much not like that. But they realized that not having a gun costs a lot of Americans' lives.
Yeah, and who cares how much money it is? Fucking put it in.
Yeah, you get 1,000 rounds of that, but you can still get some shots off. Real good.
So is it just because they're worried about like collateral damage and stuff if you put off like 1,000 rounds or whatever?
No, they're in the ocean.
Yeah, so I don't know why you wouldn't just use the gun.
I'll tell you, because Canada, a couple years ago, or sometime in history, I don't know how many years ago, were shooting down a weather balloon. I don't know whose fucking balloon it was.
Probably America's.
Probably. Exactly. Probably ours.
By the way, everything we say about China, don't think we're not fucking doing it right now. Yeah. We definitely have weather balloons over China right now.
For sure. And they said that we did.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we probably do.
That's fine. All's fair in love and war.
Canada had F-18 Hornets, because that's their primary fighter is the F-18, the Royal Canadian Air Force, and
our thing.
Try to shoot down a weather balloon with an F-18, and they
use the Gatling gun.
They use the Gatling gun because they said it's a fucking balloon. Let's just use the guns, and they lit the thing up, and it still didn't fall down from the sky.
No way.
Well, think about it, 3 school buses of balloons.
So even with holes, it's not gonna pop.
No, yeah, it's not just gonna go. It just all of a sudden this giant thing the size of a house has 1,000 holes in it, and it's not gonna totally work well.
You need to make it explode.
You gotta blow that thing up.
All
so
right.
they realized they're like, all right, we already look like idiots. A gun run makes sense, but we know that someone did that one time and it didn't work well, and it was the Canadians.
Yeah, so we don't want to look like them.
We're gonna shoot down with a missile that's literally gonna go into it and then blow up.
The last thing we want is to have our military look worse than Canada. That's worse than the balloon being there.
Exactly. So that's why they used a missile.
Okay.
That was my first thought. I'm like, why wouldn't they do a gun run?
I'm glad you looked into that. I wouldn't have thought of that.
Yeah. So they shot it down, and it was the Chinese, and it fell in the ocean, and they're still trying to collect it because apparently they can't figure out where wreckage goes.
Yeah, but at least they know where the wreckage is for that. Mm-hmm. Unlike all the rest of the things we're going to talk about tonight, which they haven't found one piece of them. Not one. And if they have, they didn't tell us.
We'll get into that.
Yeah.
So
we'll save that for after the first break.
Yeah. When do you want to take that break?
Right now.
Let's take it right now. We'll be back, guys.
All right.
For the heat of it.
We're going to get into the heat of the moment. You got to ask yourself one question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do ya, punk?
Well, gee, I don't know.
Why don't you tell me?
That's it. We're going to Mohegan Sun.
Yeah, I'm definitely not allowed to go there anymore. So.
Yeah. And it's not like normal conversation where you have a thought in your head. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I'm waiting for you to finish, which I shouldn't do, but it's important.
No, sometimes you get
yeah, exactly. Then you say something,
I do that.
I'm like, yeah. I realize you joke after.
You're already halfway through the next thing. Yeah. You get on there that replay.
Yeah, it happens. We're getting better.
Anyways, we're back.
Guys, we're back. We just went over the play-by-play of the China balloon shoot down with the F-22. That was February 4th. Shot down. They recovered parts
the
of
Groundhog
it.
came out 2 days earlier. He said 6 more months of UFOs.
He sure did.
He did.
That's what he said. Yep. He's a smart guy. That little groundhog.
I heard that there's other countries that do Groundhog Day, and this is
really?
unsubstantiated.
No shit.
Someone just told me this. So if I know anything about learning from the internet, it probably didn't happen at all. But another country did the same little ritual we do, and they went to get the groundhog. It was dead. What does that mean?
God, that's not good.
It's a bad omen,
That's
right?
not good.
That can't mean anything.
That's not good. That's not good for anyone.
Yeah. That was fun.
Do you know what country that was?
It was Canada. It was Europe. I don't know. What it was.
Ukraine.
Yeah. The groundhog died. How did this happen? Is a fucking bunker buster on top
Yeah,
of
exactly. Oh, yeah. Oh,
yeah.
poor guys.
But yeah, so we got into the weather balloon thing. I'm sure more will come about that and more conspiracy shit will come out about it. But what is more interesting and is the reason why we brought this subject to you folks today is because of the subsequent aerial phenomena.
These are the important stuff.
And these ones don't have so solid of an explanation. We don't have a size. We don't have a location.
We have a size.
Oh, we do?
Yeah.
We don't have a point of origin. We don't have anyone taking responsibility for it. And also, we don't have the wreckage. They're currently looking for it, as our commander-in-chief just told us today. But
we'll get into our thoughts on that in a minute.
We will, sure. Do you want to start it off for this whole secondary situation here? Sure. So I have a map pulled up, which will obviously let the podcast listeners see, and viewers, I should say, see. So the next time this happens, where combat is involved, it is on the northern point of Alaska. So it actually is over the ocean, but it's right at the coastline of Alaska. And it's February 10th. F-22 shoots down a quote-unquote car-sized object at 40,000 feet over Alaska. So it's on the coastline near the Beaufort Sea, or Beaufort Sea, I believe.
Yeah, either one.
I didn't even know there was one.
I didn't either. Yeah.
Seas are kind of weird.
Seas
because it's just the ocean, but
weird.
it's
what
like...
What defines a sea?
It's if there's enough land around a part of the ocean, it's not quite like a cove.
Yeah,
but they say it's a sea. Like the Mediterranean Sea is just the Atlantic Ocean, but it's the part where enough land curves around
Most
and
of
they
it
go,
is, it's
a sea.
Still,
it is
it's
the
water
ocean
from the ocean, but
it's kind of a little. It's not a bay. It's not as small as a bay, but it's like a giant.
It's not
bay.
a box.
It's not. It's not a bowl.
I mean bowl.
Yeah.
It's not a bowl. It's more like a hot dog bun.
Yeah, it's like it would take at least twice as long.
Yeah. If you
guys haven't seen that by now,
if you put a hot dog bun into a paper towel roll,
yeah, it would be at least twice as big. When I was growing up, there was 9 planets. Now there's 90 planets.
Dude, speaking of that though, but like, dude, most of our lifetime, remember Pluto was it. Mm-hmm. That was it. Most of our lifetime.
There are less planets
like, wow.
now than when we were alive. And if you go back far enough, there was always less planets, and there was more and more every couple of years.
We didn't know of any other planets besides Pluto. That was the end. Remember?
Yeah, they didn't.
Like their planet X was a thing. Like another planet out there.
Yeah, like I mean,
but we didn't
scientists
know
might have known, but I didn't know about the Oort cloud. I didn't know
everything
there was,
that we
there
could
was
research
all
on
kinds of
Windows
shit.
95 or 2000.
Yeah,
But
isn't it
like,
crazy?
wow, there's more. There could be another planet out there. I can't wait to learn about what it's called.
Yeah, but dude, even like Neptune and Pluto weren't discovered until like there was cars.
Yeah,
it's fucking crazy.
It's insane, dude.
They only named it Neptune and Pluto because they already started naming it so long ago. They're like, all right, we have to see the Roman gods thing. But they could have called it like what we call all the other planets that are like exoplanets, which is like XJ19F5b green blue. Like could have been boring as fuck, but it says like Neptune and Pluto.
Yeah, or even worse, that scientist that just found a new element like last week, and she named it like Tennesseeum.
Oh,
that's like,
Americanium, the fucking Russianium.
Americanium's fine, but like
I mean, even uranium is named after the planet Uranus.
I know, yeah. Makes sense now. But it's like you couldn't have done better than that. We have the chance. Like if
this is going to be down in history, and it's going to be on every periodic table. You're going to come at Tennesseeum.
It was like it wasn't. It wasn't Tennessee. It was like Kentucky. It was one of those fucking states.
Ugh.
Yeah, like come on, you can do better than that because that's where it was discovered. It's like name it after yourself.
Yeah. At least it could be called like McDonaldium or whatever.
Something funny.
Or EIEIOium.
So, seriously, that would have been like I said. I've talked this
could be the.
I've talked this on the podcast before, but like I really appreciated Elon Musk putting a Tesla Roadster into space for the sake
it's
of
one of those things where like you don't have to do it, but you can.
Yeah, and it's
like the Jurassic
positive.
Park thing. They didn't think about if they should. They shouldn't. Think about if you can do it, just do it.
Yeah,
that's how the AI is going to control the world. Just do it, and then we'll think about the consequences later.
Mm-hmm. But it's positive.
Just like everything else we ever do. Why all of a sudden we're all nervous about new technology? Every other technology, we just fucking do it, and then global warming happens, and then we get mad about it.
Yeah, true.
So why stop now?
But like the Roadster, it's fun news. If you're
It's fun.
if you're an 8-year-old boy and you want to be an engineer one day, and you go, he did that. It was really fun, positive. Like going to space was positive. Now we are stuck with wars and shit and bullshit and whatever it is. It's like, this is fun, positive news. You can find bad in anything, but it's like,
of course,
that's cool. They put a car in space.
People found bad immediately. I was like, what a waste of resources.
You're
Blah
trash,
blah blah.
fuck you. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you have to have something to look up to it. Like I said, as a little 8-year-old boy, you can look up at that car floating in orbit, and you can think, maybe one day, after my dad consolidates his emerald mine, I can move to America and I can marry a 20-year-old pop star and have a kid named XYZPDQ with her. Yeah. I mean, we have to have goals to look up to, and young men around the world and young women around the world need role models to look up to and say, I can be that person.
Yeah.
And God willing, one day we could buy Twitter.
Like one day someone saw Werner von Braun and said,
that could be me.
That could be me. American Idol. Werner von Braun.
Jesus. The point is you need role models.
Yeah,
someone has to. Tony Hawk has to do the 900 so that 5 years later an 18-year-old kid did it. But you have to know it's possible.
Yeah, exactly.
And have something to reach
That's
to.
That's a good non-Nazi reference.
It's few and far between. We have some non-Nazi.
Tony Hawk to 900, positive all around.
yeah. It's
fun. Good for the future of our boys.
Yeah, I just listened to him
and girls
on the Bert and Tom's podcast
Werner
about
von Braun?
telling story. Yeah, Werner came on. And he was like, it wasn't so easy as you think it is.
And don't look at anything before 1945.
Yeah. Basically, Tony was saying that he had been trying the trick for multiple years, and then he never did it because he committed one time, and the one time he committed, he broke his ribs, and then he couldn't skate for a couple months. He's like, fuck. And then he already had finished up all his tricks, and he's like, everyone's like, go for the 900. He's like, well, you already have all your points. Even if you fuck up, you already have all the points. So then that's what took him to commit. And you have to commit all the way to do it. And he committed and he pulled it off. But he said basically, even as a pro skater, you get to the point of no return where if you don't commit, you're just going to fuck your ribs up and you definitely will break a bone. And that's how he did it.
Yep.
And that's why he came out with a great line of video games that made people think skating was cool.
And invented all the good music.
Yes.
All the good music came from Tony Hawk 1.
It's a huge part of our culture. We will not forget. And when
CKY.
When he eventually dies doing a trick at the age of 80, he'll go out doing what he loved.
Yeah, kind of unfortunately Ken Block.
Yeah. You guys who haven't seen...
Way too soon.
We did...
way too... Says a fucking disaster.
No, it's not. It's not. Because it's out of respect. Me and Dom talked about him.
No, I'm saying he died way too soon.
Oh, he died? Oh, yeah.
I thought not too soon to talk about it.
Of course. He died too soon. Yeah.
What the fuck?
But we mentioned him, and definitely worth looking into, you guys, if you hadn't seen Ken Block and his career and all his crazy-ass shit. I mean, the people are awesome. And speaking of awesome people, the United States government has been shooting down... objects over the United States. So the first one we're talking about here is the one that happened. I mean, and I was so I'm usually on the pulse of these kind of things because we like to get into this kind of weird pulse stuff. But I actually had found out about this afterwards because I had that the thing that happens with the news where you hear too much about one thing and then all the different conspiracies come up and I just didn't want to hear about it. I heard about the weather balloon too much, and when someone said another thing got shot over Alaska, I was like, I don't want to hear about it, man. It's gonna be all politicized. It's gonna be all getting down into the muck and the mud. You have to get literally head to toe covered in shit to even learn about this stuff half the time. And I'm not always ready to take a shower every fucking time I want to learn about this shit. Yeah. And now I'm realizing this is worth getting into. This is February 10th, and they said car-sized object at that time, and so that was the first one after the weather balloon. And they are staunchly saying to us, it's not a Chinese weather balloon. It's something else entirely.
Yeah, and the most important thing is that every single person who's on The View doesn't even fucking talk about it because they have no fucking clue.
We don't talk about anything, really.
No, I hate The View so much.
It's bad.
Again,
it's not just
something
because
they can even cover. They don't even fucking know.
No, they could.
But also, they have no idea.
I'm not just saying I hate The View because it's the classic misogynist where you're like, oh, it's a bunch of ladies talking. It's like, if there was a man view, wouldn't watch that either.
That's
They
it.
don't talk about anything.
It's too many people talking.
It's just
no one
arguing
wants
about
to
bullshit.
watch two guys sitting on a couch talk all day.
They're still talking. It's fucking boring.
It's stupid.
They're still talking about fucking Rihanna being pregnant right now, and we have UFOs getting shot down over here. We got more important shit to talk about.
Yeah,
here.
right.
You know, that's why you come to this podcast, to hear two guys talking on the couch.
We come to this podcast because it's not our opinion. We're stating facts.
We don't ever give our opinions here. This is basically a fact-based podcast. That's why we're under Spotify as History, Science, Comedy.
And restaurant.
And a restaurant.
Restaurant.
And hashtag
Joe,
unexplained.
what's your favorite recipe for Thanksgiving?
Stuffing.
Stuffing.
More stuffing.
Do you add do you add bacon bits to your stuffing, or do you like to souffle it with a bunch of?
I like kosher
mint.
stuffing. Ugh. Mint.
It's a new thing to do. My grandma gave me this recipe from 1810.
That's the new thing to do before the War of 1812.
No, I'm just making fun of the view.
Yeah, I know.
Can't stand the view. And like Joe said, it's not a misogynistic thing. It's just I can't stand it.
Vapid conversation of famous,
Way too many people talking at the same time.
Yeah.
About shit.
And they're not trying to be funny. They're trying to be, I don't know, clever or
I don't know, but look, I'm not a gun nut.
like they're trying to be like provocative.
I think there's a serious gun problem, and it's causing the lives of everyone, and there's a real fucking issue here.
And obviously,
but
one happened yesterday, and before this podcast comes out, one will have happened between the time I edited this.
But when they say they're using semi-automatic pistols which shoot 1,000 rounds a minute, it's like, can you just get your definitions right, please? Go play Call of Duty and let me know what a semi-automatic pistol is, please.
It does suck when people's...
I'm like, please,
their heart's in the right place.
If you're going to talk about it, get your facts right, like me and Joe do all the time. Get your facts right.
Get them right the first time, or then edit it later, or forget to correct yourself. Like we all should, as God intended. But yeah, it does shut down your case. Even if people are on your side, like, emotionally or spiritually, whatever you want to say it, as soon as they say stupid shit like that, you go, oh, that's all out the window.
Yeah, it's like when you go on
everything
Reddit
you said is
for advice about medical problems.
Yeah.
And then someone can't fucking formulate a sentence properly with punctuation and grammar.
Yeah. No matter how smart you are, or you think you are.
Could say MD next to your name, and if you use you and like and you don't punctuate or it's all capital letters, don't even read it. Same thing.
Yeah, you can't take them seriously. You have to have some level of,
don't talk about things you don't know about, like UFOs, if you don't know about them.
Yeah. None of this applies to us, to be clear.
Yeah, no, nothing we say applies to us. Do as we do, not as we say, okay?
Exactly. Do as we do, not as we say. Be exactly like us, and don't take anything we say seriously. Yeah. Just whatever we do that.
And don't start a podcast and do this.
Yes.
Ever.
Because we don't need any more competition.
Exactly.
We have enough people out there.
Yeah, we don't want you guys to get your news
Barack
from
Obama has
else.
a podcast now, right? There's enough people have podcasts, okay?
Yeah, exactly.
And I know whenever I hear podcasters say that to me, I get pissed off, but I'm doing the same thing they do. Don't make one.
We started ours early.
If you want to make yours, just come on ours. And then just splinter off and then
fail
quit after a couple weeks.
Exactly. Yeah,
that's how you do it.
Yeah, give it 10 episodes and then just fail, like everyone does.
Get the DJ BP bump.
Everyone started a podcast, they realize that Joe does all the work and it's really hard. So
even just the coordination to be like, yeah, every week I'm gonna fucking talk about some shit. Yeah, I mean, there's always times that I love doing this podcast, and there's still times where mostly it's the editing, but I'm like, oh fucking another thing you gotta do, but it's so worth it, man.
So worth it. But come on ours if you want to start one. We'll teach you the ropes.
We'll give you the fucking test run on it before you think you're gonna do it.
Which we've done with everybody so far. And
see I'm waiting for Dom to start his own podcast.
He is our podcast.
Yeah.
He has stock in this company.
Oh yeah, he does, and that's why we're doing our separate one.
He's a founder. We have equal shares with us.
Well we have tenure.
We do, yes. Yeah,
he has equal shares, but we have tenure.
His resume looked real good.
Basically, he can't outvote us, but he has the same equal votes. He can't impeach us.
Yeah, we can fire him anytime.
Yes.
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah, but if you.
He's doing pretty good, though. I gotta give
if you guys could fire me, you'd have to work hard at that, but it could happen.
Oh, it's the same for me. It takes, it's super majority. We need to take extra people in. We have to have guests involved.
It's like Morgan and Morgan firing Morgan.
That's going at the end for sure.
Can Morgan fire Morgan?
No.
Because Morgan and Morgan both founded it together?
No, yeah, you have to have extra
Morgans.
Morgans.
Then it would just be Morgan.
To fire, yeah, it would just be Morgan. It's like anyone else.
It would just be Morgan.
Yeah, that would suck.
Then no one would get that insurance about falling on someone else's property.
It was like Jordan's Furniture after they tied Ellie up in the basement. Like, they'd never been the same. They never had this.
Jordan Elliott?
No, it used to be Barry and Elliott, and now all the commercials are just Barry. and Elliot is tied up in the basement now.
So now it's Jordan's?
It's always been
fuck is
Jordan's.
Jordan?
Well, I don't know who Jordan is.
Oh, I thought it was called Barry and Elliot, and then it changed to
I
Jordan
think it was.
once they fired Barry.
I'm guessing it's Barry Jordan and Elliot Jordan. And then now it used to be the two brothers in the commercials, and they'd be like, "Hey," and then now it's only the one because the other one's tied up in the basement because he got too mouthy and he wanted to control the
Because
company.
their mom died and one of them got more money.
Yeah, I'm guessing
Probably something
like that.
Wow.
But so yeah, you can't just take over the company. So
Yeah, before it was Bob's Discount Furniture, it was Bob and Mary's Discount Furniture.
Yeah.
Then they got divorced,
now it's just Bob's.
and now it's just Bob's.
Now he's married to the chubby guy who does the commercials with them.
Because he's gay now.
Yeah, he always was.
Bob's gay.
Oh, he always was.
Bob's Gay Discount Furniture.
Sweet deals. The cookies on the side of the truck. Come on,
All
Bob.
you can carry.
I mean, he is. If
If you can carry it out, it's half off.
if he accomplished anything,
Just
it was to
one
make
guy
the most
carrying
annoying
5 couches.
commercials in the history of America.
Fucking A, man.
Oh god, I'm so glad. I
Nah,
haven't seen
Morgan & Morgan's fucking top tier.
it. Hey, they're getting up there. I mean, Bob's slacking on the
God, I
annoying
hate
commercials.
Morgan & Morgan.
Oh man,
So, back to the UFOs, dude.
this is the pod.
Morgan & Morgan can wait.
Yeah, and they're gonna keep waiting.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was. Do you want to go on to the next one? That was the first one.
Off Alaska, F-22 shoots down a car-sized UFO that is not being carried by a balloon, and the pilots had... So this one I think is important, because
So yeah, I don't know.
there's a
I
little
know
more
that
detail to this. A little more detail.
I know the one over Lake Huron was the one that was. I was
We'll
on
get into that one. That one's
Yeah, that one. I don't know the other ones though. So
So this one, the one over Alaska, F-22 shoots it down, and as always, they observe it for a while before they shoot it down. They want to figure out what's going on.
yeah, they
there.
don't just immediately shoot it as soon as they see it.
Traveling at various rates of speed. What do you say? 40,000 feet. So that is public airspace.
Which is what the president just said is why.
And
they
when
did
you
it.
listen to and when you listen to it's really is odd that they release
the Kraken.
not the Kraken, the audio from the pilots to air traffic control or whatever's doing that. And
That's
they're
how
talking about
That's why I think
things-
it's not that insane, because if there was anything crazy about it, we would not be able to hear that.
right. But he talks about his instruments are malfunctioning.
Which is similar to the initial UAP episode we did, where they couldn't figure out how to track that rod, right? Or with that malfunction, they just couldn't track it. They couldn't lock on.
So it was FLIR, forward-looking infrared radar.
And our
And
listeners to the podcast
that's
know
where
what that is.
they view it, so they filter things to see if it has heat signatures or whatever it is.
And this is why they said it was
Does not-
unmanned, right?
Unmanned. They
keep
said
saying that.
there's clearly nobody in this. It has no heat signatures at all, and a heat signature is a dead giveaway for something that has an internal combustion engine,
Yeah,
like
there's
a
going
jet
to be
engine.
heat going on.
Tons of fucking heat out the back, like a jet looks like on the FLIR.
It's
Looks
like a
big
spotlight in the
white
night sky.
Fucking spotlight, yeah, exactly. So nothing like that or whatever it is, and it was somehow interfering with the electronics on board. So that means that it's actively, just like my Al flight from Dubai to Tel Aviv. That airplane is the only civilian airplane in the world ever that has countermeasures for missiles. So it
You gotta tell the folks about this. He just told me like right before the podcast.
So I flew from Dubai to Tel Aviv.
This is a commercial aircraft with countermeasures.
Commercial airline El Al is the airline name, and it has two different
Or Spanish for the L.
Exactly. It has two different types of electronic like countermeasures for missiles being shot at it.
And you put your carry-on in it.
Yeah, and I flew on that, and it's a 777 manufactured in like 1990 at Boeing, and so if someone shoots a missile at it, it can interfere with the missile,
Jam it,
tracking, does all that stuff. So pretty cool.
Sick.
So the UFO.
I mean, the only thing that would be cooler is if you got a missile shot at you and you can actually see it in action. You know.
I know. I was actually like, you never know. But
Of course, that's why they have it there. You know, that's why they have the fucking oxygen masks.
because everyone's trying to shoot it down.
Yeah.
And the entire tail is the Star of David.
Just in case they weren't sure.
Duid, it is.
I'd be
The
like, can you
entire
just paint
tail.
it like a fucking Italian flag or something?
You know, like I'm all on board for all these things, but I was like, if we're this much of a target because of the place you live, it's like everyone hates Americans, and our entire airplane that I fly to Afghanistan is
Red,
an
white, and
American
blue.
flag.
Yeah.
It's like
because they flaunt it. They're like, yeah, fucking try to shoot us down. We're like, well, I'm sitting in the plane, so please don't.
Like, please, exactly. I'm like, don't do this.
Why don't we just paint it like a taxi?
Like, it's
like
nothing
yellow
to do.
with the
It's
black
nothing to
and
do
white
with
checkers.
the Star of David or anything like this. Like nothing like that at all. I'm all good. But I'm like, if I was flying into North Vietnam in 1967 on a C-130 that is literally the American flag,
You're asking for it.
you're asking for. I'm like, come on, like.
It's like, why would you put on your own armband? You know what I mean?
So. Right. Yeah. Well, that's a fucked up way of saying it. And
What?
so the UFO was interfering with the jet itself, which is not something El Al can do to another jet.
No.
Only to a missile.
And especially not an
pretty wild.
unmanned aircraft. I mean,
That has
I would think even the electronics would have some sort of heat signature. No, I mean maybe not.
probably not enough for a FLIR to
Because
pick
you
up on.
can run it cold.
You can so the FLIR picks up any temperature. So me and you are gonna just like when you're playing
I'm thinking
Call
of
of
like
Duty.
1960s electronics, like new electronics now. Like you don't need like a
they're
heat
still-
sink.
Well,
That it would be that
dude,
visible.
It's a fucking airplane, man. Everything there generates heat.
But we're not talking about an airplane. We're talking about this object.
Right, but if it's electronic and it has even just anything, it should
Well, that's what I was
generate
thinking.
some heat.
But
Yeah.
I know you can run. I mean, like obviously, like supercomputers like run in like freezers, but you'd still be able to notice the temperature differential between the ice cold air and the running material.
Yeah.
That's why you're cooling it down. So I would
There's
think if you have
probably
some kind
some difference.
if you have some kind of jamming technology there must be, at least if you can kind of dial in the differential, it clearly must be warmer than the air around
If you
it.
look at those
You're
videos-
4,000 feet up. It's fucking cold up there.
Right, so it might just be fucking cold. 'Cause
Even if you fucking
'cause
run a
like-
cell
it's like-
phone, you should
it's
be able
like
to
running-
tell it's warm.
Well, but so if I take my laptop, which runs hot all the time, but it's at 40,000 feet and negative 40 degrees, it's going to be negative 40 degrees.
Yeah.
There's
So maybe
not
that's
enough.
what it is.
You have to output that negative 40 degrees to even get to a point. It's
Yeah.
even
If it's internal,
distinguishable.
you won't be able to recognize it because once it gets out of the air, it just goes. Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So that you have to bypass.
You're
that
still
negative
recognizing
40.
actual radiation. It's not like a magic beacon that you don't have to hit. It's
Yeah.
still the same wave as light. Infrared radiation hits you like light. It takes time for the particles or the wave to get to you. That's how you recognize it. There's no version of it being a beacon and you not seeing it. The reason you're seeing it is because it's hitting you.
Mm-hmm.
There's no version of seeing something that didn't hit your eyes. When it hits your eyes
We're
is
going
when,
deep
is
into
when you
physics.
quote unquote see it.
Yeah.
So if it is giving a heat signature and it doesn't hit you, it's either dissipating that signature before it gets to you, or
Yeah.
it's not emitting one.
So it has to be really hot for it to show up. Is the whole point? Is what you're saying?
It has to at least be hot at all, and you have to receive the wave. So if there's a way to generate heat and dissipate it so fast, then if you're a mile away, you won't perceive it as giving off any heat at all. Even though if you were right up on it, you could see it infrared. But if you're like a mile away, you wouldn't be able to see it because once it gets to you, you can't see it. So it's like having a flashlight
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
and you put a thing in front of it. It's still emitting a bright light, but if you can't see it, it's not. Doesn't mean it's not emitting light. It means you can't receive the information.
and that piece of paper is the cold air, so it's like
Yeah.
it has to be pretty hot for it to show up.
Gotcha.
Whereas, like, if you have thermal, infrared Navy SEAL goggles on, and there's a hot body in the woods, like a helicopter.
Yeah, in the
you
woods
wanna
on Earth, easily see.
easily see that because the
It doesn't dissipate fast enough.
Yeah.
The radiation will hit your camera, and you'll be able to track it immediately.
yeah. I don't know the details of how it works, but it sounds like you're pretty onto something. Anyway, so
I'm definitely pretty. I don't know if I'm on something.
it's true. So this one interfered with the F-22. That's all I know.
That's definitely worth mentioning. The fucking Chinese spy balloon thing, that wasn't even fucking cell phones.
shit.
Never mind military grade tracking technology. I mean, that's weird. And the fact that we know about it is also weird.
Yeah, exactly. And just for the record, according to the news, this happened to Donald Trump 4 times. He didn't shoot him down.
Yeah.
So this is the first one we just know about. So,
But
to the
I
next
wasn't
one.
clear on whether those were just balloons or if these were objects similar to this. I didn't
They
get
said
it.
balloons.
They said balloons. So that seems like more like the Chinese weather balloon thing
Yep.
than these
It
objects.
sounds like Chinese, but
that
the
are
Trump things
messing
were-
with the.
He's like, oh, Trump would have shot that fucking thing down the second it showed up in Alaska. It's like, well, he actually didn't 4 times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He is great at just making people think he has a big dick, like on all. I mean, like metaphorically, to be like Trump would have shot it down. It's like Trump could have shot anything down. He actually has less of a body count than Barack Obama, Bill Clinton and George Bush.
No, for sure. And no one has a picture of that guy's dick. It's got to exist somewhere. There's no way he has a big dick, dude.
Oh no, he can't.
That dude, it does not.
And if he
way
does,
more popular than
if he
we'll ever
does,
be, but
then
he's
I don't
never,
understand why he acts the way he does.
That's it. There's no big dick there.
No
way, Jose, dude.
Well, he did. He just recently came out and said that he admitted for the first time that he did bang that porn star Stormy Daniels. He was like, "We met one time."
I pissed on her. He pissed on me.
Yeah, and she tweeted and she was like, "What? Finally." Like, your lawyer coming after me, like, come on, man.
Can she talk about it? Like, I want to know. I want to see the sex tape. I'll watch the whole thing.
I don't think they have it recorded.
I want to know. It'd be so fucking weird and fucked up. I just want to see it to be like, wow, that was fucking hilarious.
Yeah, it'd be like a train wreck.
Funniest thing
you
ever.
have to watch.
Giant train wreck of farting and like.
Yeah.
It'd be so funny.
Oh my god.
And she's peeing on him while he's going. I can't do his voice, but I'm sure he said something. Like when
I have the best dick ever. The greatest, huge. You're gonna love it. Everyone loves it. I've satisfied everyone I've ever been with. You can ask them. Just ask them. Best of all time. They've said it. I didn't say it. They said it. Something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, give me more of that.
A little bit more. A little bit harder.
Yeah, your pee is.
A little bit more.
Yeah.
All right, enough Trump shit.
It was good. I like that. So on to the next one.
All right. Next one we have, and this is all within a small time frame.
This is like 5 days, right?
The next one is 1 day later, February 11th, in the Yukon Territory, which is right outside of Alaska, and an F-22 shoots down a quote-unquote cylindrical object over northern Canada. So we're probably less than 24 hours from the last one.
Yeah. So
another F-22
so the reason
and
F-22s are shooting these down in that area just
because
so you know,
they're cool as fuck.
They're cool as fuck, but they're also stationed at Elmendorf Air Force Base outside
Where's that?
of Fairbanks.
Oh, Fairbanks, Alaska.
Yeah.
All right.
So the F-22s, they put the F-22s...
Mammoth Graveyard. That's Fairbanks.
Yeah. They put the F-22s in the places they think the Russians are going to... We need interceptors to go after Russian stuff.
Yeah.
The Russians are coming here with their bombers. They're coming over Alaska.
It makes sense they put them on Alaska.
Yeah, exactly. And then we have some, I think, in Langley, which is why that South Carolina one got shot down by an F-22.
Because it's on the coast?
Yeah. So that's like we don't... Massachusetts has F-15s. Vermont has F-35s. F-22s aren't all over the place. They're at like the major places.
They're pretty expensive to make too.
They're very expensive and they're very fucking cool.
Yeah.
That's the most underrated thing ever. Like everyone likes the F-35 because it's the newest one. The F-22 is fucking cool as fuck. Mm-hmm. That is like the coolest airplane ever. They're so goddamn cool.
We'll obviously have a picture up for the part.
F-22 is the shit. So there's not a lot to say about this one besides it's a similar
cylindrical
story.
Object though is a descriptor we didn't get.
Object.
Car size is not as interesting to me as cylindrical
cylindrical, dude.
Not a balloon.
Get the fuck out of here.
I mean, of course they have cylinder balloons, but it's more of like a kite kind of thing. And it's a similar thing where they said there's no heat signature, there's no man on board or woman or anyone who's non-binary on board. There's no humans on the thing, basically, is what it is.
No one had sex change operations on board.
Yeah.
That we know.
Which they have every right to do. You know? But yeah, so that's strange. It was less than 24 hours later. They're shooting another one down. So then that brings up more questions, which will bring us to our third one and the final one.
Crazy, dude.
As
it
of right
fucking
now.
happened again right there, and they shoot down again, and it's a cylindrical object.
Yeah.
So we'll get into where these wreckages are.
Yeah, I'm just gonna hit the last one, and then we're gonna.
This one's interesting.
Yeah. So this one is another 1 day later, the 12th of February. This is like a crazy weekend of the fucking scrambling the jets. And,
man, if I was a fighter pilot, my dick would be so hard.
Oh yeah, this is what you train
ultimate.
for.
Well, you train for shooting the Russians. Yeah, exactly. You train for shooting the Russians or whatever.
You're not gonna get a chance.
You're like,
if you're shooting down the Russians, it's World War III, and that kind of sucks. This is like I get to use my training, and like it's not gonna be World War III.
Well, and you get to shoot something.
I can go home and tell my wife about how fucking.
Well, if I was a fighter
awesome
pilot, I'm like, you. At the end of the day, you dream of being Maverick. You want to shoot something down.
You want to go to the danger zone.
You are born in 1985, 1990, and it's like you get the call to shoot down. They're like, we got this here. You're tracking it. This is what you're gonna go shoot down. And you're like, it's a UFO. You go, cool.
Wha-bam, as Dylan would say.
You fly up there, and you go and shoot this thing down. We'll talk about how to tactics to shoot down something that altitude goes.
We can talk about the fact that the U.S. Navy fully supported and endorsed Top Gun and the sequel because it added a measurable boost to
stupid amount of people who want to be fighter pilots.
Yeah.
Because they go, that's cool as fuck,
Oh,
and
sure,
I'll die for that.
Yeah.
I won't die for my country, but I'll die to be a fighter pilot. Sounds
Fuck yeah.
wicked fun.
And it's probably easy to do, too.
It used to be.
Yeah, it's
Not anymore, I'll tell you
impossible
about
to do. So this is February 12th. F-16, all right. Pretty sick, but, this has been around for a while.
Sick as fuck.
Destroys
actually.
flying
F-16s are fucking
object
awesome.
over Lake... I'm fucking talking shit, obviously. They're cool as hell. Destroys flying object over Lake Huron. So this is over a body of water, and obviously the Great Lakes are huge, but this is a land mass. This is not over the
Huron's
ocean.
to the right of Michigan.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, this is like right next to Michigan, basically. And it's at 20,000 feet, which is 20,000 feet lower than the last two were.
Yeah, it ain't that high up.
Yeah. And this is the one that they said, shaped like an octagon. Nice. And from what I heard the report, the F-16,
Like
the first missile that went off missed. And they don't know where it is. Hopefully it's in the lake, but who knows where it ended up. And the second one did hit. And much like the last, including this one, the last three shoot downs they have not found any part of this object.
Bullshit.
They know that they shot down the weather balloon, and they understand where that landed and shit like that. It's hard to collect in the ocean, but they don't even know where the shit ended up. And the Yukon one wasn't even over the ocean, so it's on the ground somewhere, you would imagine. And the other two might have landed in the water, so it'll be hard to find. But like, where the fuck are these things going? We're shooting down, they just disappeared.
Well, in anytime there's an airplane crash or like the Iran shot down that flight a couple years ago.
Yeah,
there's debris everywhere.
I mean, it's a fucking
washing
mess.
up on beaches.
Yeah.
It's,
as long as you know what you're looking for, you can find it. But these three objects, and of course, it has not been that long. Obviously, it's been recent news, but still, everyone's eyes are on this, and they shoot it down, can't fucking find it. Weird.
That's so. F-16 shoots it down. F-16s are cool as fuck, and they're just as advanced as F-22s. They don't have stealth, but they've got all the same avionics, and like they're fucking great airplanes. Like, fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, I'm sure that first miss was pilot error.
Pilot error, missile error.
Missile error,
missile error. Missiles are not as reliable as you think they are,
and they're not made for shooting down UFOs.
They're not. Yeah,
we'll develop new technology for that once we.
Every single piece of weaponry that the U.S. has made has not been designed for the Taliban, not been designed for the Vietnamese, not been designed for anything. Designed for the Russians.
Yeah, it's a good guess.
The Abrams tank, the fucking M16, all designed for Russians. Everything we've ever made has been designed for Russian aircraft or Russian people or tanks or whatever.
Yeah, when figure for this analogy, when the AFC football teams get ready to play football, they try to figure out a team that can beat the Kansas City Chiefs. They don't try to beat the fucking Jacksonville Jaguars. I mean, sure, the Jaguars could have a great season out of nowhere, but you'd be wasting your time, money, and resources to plan for the Jaguars being good. What you'd plan for is the Kansas City Chiefs might be good again, and yeah, maybe, Iran comes out with some kind of crazy shit, but you should plan for Russia. That's the fucking big dog you're going up against. Maybe you're not fighting a war right now, but when you're designing your team, you design it to beat the Russians.
Yeah.
This is how it is.
That's how it is.
And if it's up to Russia, they're going to keep it that way.
Yep.
And if it's up to America, we'd like to have a new enemy. And China's like, hey, girl next door, hot new thing around town, sending balloons your way. Hey, be mine. God damn it.
Yeah, happy Valentine's Day, guys. So, first things first is, so we've got different shapes, different sizes.
Cylinder, octagon, and I actually don't know car shaped. I don't know if they give us a shape for that one.
Let's just say it's
car size, I should
say. Let's just say it's a rectangle.
Sure.
And it's crazy. Not finding the wreckage, get the fuck out of here. Like,
it's worth talking about. Have they found the wreckage and they won't tell us?
Yes.
That seems plausible.
Dude, these people...
Because everyone's eyes are on it.
Shit, so
they don't just shoot and go, we'll check later. They were like tracking every little bit of this thing.
Reason they didn't find MH370, which is Malaysian Airlines Flight 370 that went missing off of fucking somewhere down there.
Yeah, near Indonesia.
Yeah, exactly, because it was so far off the coast. And
also no one was watching
it. No one watching and nosedived into the oceans hundreds of miles from the coast.
Yeah.
Things started to wash up on
It
shore.
wasn't a national security threat for this commercial airline to be.
Yeah, they were tracking this thing, and they have all the physicists, everyone in the CIA, the NSA, NASA,
people, all
Air
of us on
Force.
retainer, they're having to earn their paycheck this
They can
week.
do simple math to figure out where it hit the ground. The pilot, also, his job, like fighter pilots these days, their job is...
You don't just shoot and
It's
walk
not
away.
World War II anymore at all, where you're flying a P-51 and your entire job is to just find a target and shoot it down.
And then
Fighter
survive.
pilots now have their undergrad in engineering, and
It's a checklist.
Their job is they're on the most technologically advanced piece of machinery a human being can touch.
Yes.
And their job,
Short of the
flying
space
the
shuttle.
airplane, is the last thing that they do.
Yeah.
They're not even.
That's just
concerned-
understood.
They're not even concerned
That's
about
baseline.
flying. They
Yeah.
have so much instrumentation. They have so much things going on
Yeah.
that they're doing 10,000 things at once.
Yeah.
Flying's the last
And
thing.
the machine itself is doing half the work for them anyway, so they can focus on this secondary thing, which is the primary thing they're worried about, which is all this
Other
detail-oriented.
shit- exactly. Other things tracking this
Yeah,
thing.
absolutely.
Like Captain David Fravor, who saw the first Tic Tac, which would be very similar to all the things that we're seeing here.
Cylinder shape,
So exactly.
odd, untrackable movement.
Yeah, weird things.
Heat signature.
All he did was fly around that thing and observe it forever. They just observed it and try to figure it out. So their job is, especially if you shoot it down, you get a notable hit. Like you get an explosion.
Everyone's prepared for that. We're going to shoot it
Explosion.
down. Everyone get ready.
Explosion, smoke, whatever it is. He probably hit that thing and he didn't just go take off and leave. He probably watched it the whole time.
The whole thing.
That guy did circles around
and
this
even
thing.
Fravor did. And now this is even more high profile. Everyone's watching this shit.
Exactly. So the pilot himself tracked the kill and then tracked it down to the water and watched it and then recorded the location of its
Longitude,
descent,
latitude, the whole
all
thing.
that stuff. This thing hit the water right here.
Here's what time I shot.
All of this.
Here's what time it hit.
Yeah.
Here's how much time went from it hitting this altitude to this. I mean, it's all
All the guys in the ground.
Computers.
Exactly. All the guys in the ground are tracking the tides, the air, the this, the that.
You're so
They're
right.
Going to.
Yeah.
They had this fucking thing found immediately. And then the second that he got scrambled to go find that, they probably sent fucking dozens of helicopters.
It wasn't just let's send one plane out and see what happens.
Yeah, we'll
It
shoot
was-
it down and tell us what you found. They already had search and rescue teams out there because there could have been a human on there
Yeah.
that they want to make sure isn't dead. Or
And
whatever
so
it is.
they can torture
had-
him.
Exactly. So Guantanamo Bay has it. Booth open.
Yeah. Right this way, sir.
Exactly.
The velvet rope goes up.
Come on in. So the
Nanu,
fact that they
nanu.
haven't found a fucking piece of tinfoil,
Anything.
anything is,
Come on.
and there's 3 of them.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you know
Get
what?
the fuck
I was
outta
kind of.
here.
I don't mean
And
to
one
be
of them's
a sheep,
over
but, like,
land,
come
dude.
on, it's over land.
Jesus Christ, you can get a blood.
It's in the Yukon Territory. It's not a metropolitan area. It's in the middle of the woods. But it's like, yeah, but that's why they shut it down there.
Fire,
Yeah.
trees. Like you're gonna, no matter how sophisticated these things are, something's on fire.
Yeah.
Something.
You shoot a missile at it.
Yeah, something's burning.
Yeah. Oh, is it? Oh, you check the stove.
So they already have these things on fucking trucks and they're already at Area 51
Yeah, you're
or,
right.
or at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base and they're studying the shit.
What would they
out of
say
them.
if they shot it down and they go, we got it. This is what it looks like. We're going to look into it later, but we just wanted to show
Not
you guys
a
first.
chance.
We just wanted to show the whole world before we look at it.
Yeah.
You guys should see it.
This thing's covered in like
No
weird
way.
markings and whatever it is. No
Whatever it is.
fucking chance.
Yeah.
So this actually isn't my own words, but the possibilities for what this thing is these things they are
Let's get into it.
our own government's making.
Yeah.
Unlikely, because they wouldn't tell us.
Yeah.
And at one point, someone in Project Bluebeam or Blue Book would be like, "Hey, don't just leave it alone.
Yeah.
You know, don't shoot it down. Don't make the public know that there's a black project going on here."
Yeah. When
Option
our
2
own military or high tech division shit fucks up, they don't let you know. Hey, by the way, you should know we're developing into stealth bomber crash. To here's the specs. Here's the blueprint. No.
No, they go. Someone deep down there goes, "Ignore it.
Yeah.
Ignore this. You didn't see this. Just
You
ignore
didn't
it."
see anything.
Yeah. So that has been happening in my mind since 1947. These things, like There's
I
the
think you're
whole
probably
thing
right.
about like the alien abductions of humans, which
But we've had proof, and
there was a
things have been
contract.
declassified for 50 years. Where you go, oh, by the way, when we said at that time, we were lying to hide this project, that project, XYZ.
Right,
So
exactly.
there's a history of this. This isn't just like speculation saying, I bet they would do that. It's like not only would they do that, they have done it, and it provably have done it multiple times.
Yeah, exactly. Even down to alien abductions, the X-Files did it, the Project Blue Book did it, everyone did it. That like people getting abducted
hard
by
science
aliens.
news sources.
People
about
getting
that.
abducted by aliens was a contract between the U.S. government and the aliens to take us for biological research.
This is where you lose me, but
It is. It's okay.
I'm into that.
It's all good.
I'm into it.
So, but even that was all hidden. It was all
Sure,
hidden
yeah,
because the
It
government
wasn't
knew
public
about it,
information.
so they didn't make it public. The people would come out and be like, "I was up by aliens." Someone goes, "You're insane. Go to mental institution."
Which is just what they want you to say.
They always say exactly. So this is like something else. So it's either us doing it, which is unlikely. It could be the Russians, the Chinese, the fucking God
Yeah,
knows
well,
what.
let's just say a foreign power.
Foreign power that has technology that is way advanced of what we know of,
Yep.
and we're seeing it now, or they're disclosing it now, and we didn't. Whatever it is, or it's fucking aliens, dude.
Or it's aliens. Or it's it's the most foreign power of all, extraterrestrial power.
Yeah.
And obviously, there's a weird combining of this subject matter because the fact that after the weather balloon happened, everyone knew about the weather balloon, and then all of a sudden all this shit's happening. And what they're saying,
they're why
the
are they
U.S.
so
government is
related?
saying is that we started basically putting out a fishing net to catch more of these things. When we were using a fishing pole, we caught a guppy, and we go, we better use a fine net. And now we're catching all of them, and now we're shooting them all down. But it does make me think about, first of all, you said the fact that they're even disclosing it to us, which means that they don't ever forget. Whenever they tell you anything, they have something to gain from it. If they don't, they will not tell you. It doesn't benefit them.
Nope.
They have to
Causes
gain
more
something.
problems than anything.
Exactly. And whether that benefit is them, doing the pay no attention to the man behind the curtain thing, maybe it's that. Maybe it's just the fact that we could use this as a cudgel to kind of like gain the public trust, like we're doing shit to stop whatever. Maybe they're just shooting down. Maybe they're setting these balloons up and shooting them down just to be like, hey, look, we can shoot down any balloon we want to. There's Chinese people are going to send any more balloons over here. Maybe it's that. But it seems to me that it's a weird correlation between a national news story and then all of a sudden now we're shooting down every fucking cylinder and octagon in the sky, which we already had a whole podcast about Fravor and them disclosing the fact that these things have existed beforehand, which means that you haven't been tracking them. Yes, you have. We already have a history of it, and you tried to hide it from us for a long
And
time.
all of a sudden you turn the radar on, like today.
Yeah.
Like, no way.
So either they have been tracking these things the entire time, and now they're shooting them down to try to like have a show of force, or they honestly haven't been seeing them, and then all of a sudden now we're seeing them everywhere. It doesn't make sense to me.
It doesn't make any sense. Why? So like,
It seems like the weather
Maybe
balloon
someone
story
f-
being so big is what spurred this public outcry of it. But if the weather balloon never happened, this would all be going on either not shooting them down, or they were shooting them down. Either way, we're not hearing about it. That weather balloon made us hear about this shit.
yeah, the weather balloon was the catalyst for this whole thing.
Yes.
And maybe so.
There's no
there's-
doubt, because what do you mean? 4th, 10th, 11th, 12th? It's too close together to be like, what are the odds? I mean, it's not related to China, but like there's other stuff here too, just the same week. It's like, come on, man.
Yeah.
I don't believe that shit.
I don't believe it either. And there's another thing we've talked about before when it comes to aliens is that like there's a really clear timeline in the media from 1947 to present day of disclosure with aliens.
Yeah.
Because back in 1947, everyone believed in God, everyone was fucking religious and this shit and whatever it is. So
Now only
47
90% of
happened.
people
47 happened. 1940 Roswell happened by accident. They realized that this is happening, and it's fucked up. And then they started making movies like War of the Worlds and whatever it is, because the best way to
Isn't it
learn
crazy that
about
War of the Worlds was written before Roswell even happened?
really
Obviously the movie was afterwards, but War of the Worlds was
G.
written.
Wells, did he write it?
Yeah.
So interesting. Okay, I didn't know that. Is
That's why they said they came from Mars.
Anytime you
because
wanna
we still
look-
thought that Mars had aliens.
oh yeah,
on it.
right.
I mean, the aliens we think of, because it has aliens.
That's right, Joe. Anytime you want to, it's psychology right here. It's like psychologists at work saying that the best way. So if we want to learn about aliens, the best way to get public disclosure is to start off with hate and fear. Like they're the enemy. We need to kill them.
You already get them on your side. Now what we do now, you have the panic in set, that when we do shit, you'll just go along with it. It's like 9/11. Like, we're gonna make it so we can listen to your cell phones. You have to take all your clothes off, X-ray. Like, because when you're in fear and when you're in anger mode, you will submit to anything. Yes. And there's a long, not American history, world history.
Yeah.
Make a fear, drop it on their laps, make it an enemy, and people will relinquish their freedom and their public knowledge. Like, they'll be like, don't even tell me. Just do anything you need.
Fuck it. Just do what you gotta do.
I don't
Kill
care.
them, hurt them, torture them.
Like, if you
these things.
bring it to them as like a scientific idea, like, we're gonna find out more about this. People are like, whoa, and they start asking too many questions. They start making their decisions. But if you go, we're doing this because your kids are gonna get raped. You go, hey, wait.
Yeah.
Do whatever you gotta do.
Do what you gotta do, yeah.
I don't want my kids to be in a school shooting and fucking do whatever you want. It's like, the fear and the anger gets people, and like you said, it immediately gets you on their side. Yeah. Whether or not they know what's going on, if you drop in the fear. That's why it always strikes me when people be like, they can't tell us about it because people will freak out. I go, they want you to freak out.
Yeah.
They want you to freak out in a control. It's like a controlled demolition.
They're controlling it. Like
yeah.
For 50 years, for 80 years.
They're not afraid of blowing shit up. They want it to blow up in just a certain way.
This crazy narrative and disclosure with first hate. Just like 9/11 happened. We hate all Muslims and all.
Just so we know, they're the enemy.
The Middle East is the enemy. They're all bad.
No matter what we do from now,
a headdress is
they
bad.
deserved it, and we should all. And if you don't think they deserve it, maybe you're like them. We don't like that.
Exactly.
You don't want to be like them, do you? Because we hate them.
You want to be open.
Oh, no. Give me my flag. I'm good. All right, good. Because now we're going to do some fucked up shit, and you're going to be totally a party to it.
Yep.
And you're not going to ask any
Now
questions
we're
about
going to go
it.
to the Middle East and ruin half of the world. Completely
Kill
ruin
a couple million people.
This beautiful,
no biggie.
Because there's a couple of bad eggs. We're going to take a beautiful place. I wouldn't say that because, like, obviously Saddam Hussein had his issue. It was a fucking monster. And
it's plenty of awful people.
We're terrible. But if you look at these countries before the U.S. invaded and then after, they had universities. They had good, and I was just there. These are good people. Majority of them are good people. There are bad ones, but then we went there.
Just like anywhere.
But every American after 9/11 said, "Blow the fucking place off the face of the earth."
I remember at the time, people were saying, "Why don't we just drop nuclear bombs on Afghanistan?"
Yeah.
That way we could just wipe out the entire population. In Iraq. Yeah. Just wipe out the whole population and then, problem solved.
And we're like, sounds like a good plan to me.
Yeah. Looking back,
that's
I was a child, but it's still,
we were 9 and
it's
10,
still crazy to think, like, why don't we just, we did it before, just do it again. It's like, that would just solve it.
Like, they're all terrible.
Just wipe out the entire population and then you're done.
What I feel like the government did with us with aliens is they did the same exact thing. Like, the first 30 or 40 years of UFO disclosure was, these are fucking invaders that are going to kill us. We need to kill them all, hate them all, whatever. Is then slowly cartoons.
If they don't do that, they're going to get us. You want them to get us? Let's get them.
Exactly. They're going to take our place. We need to kill all of them. And so you all of a sudden are open to the idea that aliens exist, and if they do, they're bad, and we have to kill them all.
Yeah.
And that's how that was. And then all of a sudden, some other things they started showing up in cartoons as like Marvin the Martian, and you're like, he's still kind of bad, but a little more silly, and it's like. So we're getting used to the idea that aliens are a thing. Yeah. And then...
But they're more like a fantasy concept than like an actual, day-to-day threat,
Right. Yeah, still fantasy. And then things like Arrival came out where it's like, they're intelligent. They might have put us here. We could be a giant experiment for them.
Yeah. Or First Encounters even earlier than that.
First Encounters.
Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Close Encounters of the Third Kind where they go to the big...
Yeah. They're intelligent. They have like technology we don't understand.
Yeah, and we have to understand them. They have to understand us. And there's this mutual thing because they're just like us, but they're different.
But Arrival is like the next generation.
Arrival is the furthest of the spectrum.
Yeah.
Where it's like...
They're not little men.
Don't shoot at them.
Yeah.
They're trying to communicate a message to us because we're trying to kill ourselves.
Yeah.
So it's like disclosure is taken 80 years to unravel, and now all of a sudden they're like...
And obviously it's intertwined with popular culture and knowledge. Like, a lot of what we know about UFOs is
all
with media.
100% of it.
Yeah.
And now we're at a point where, like, so Arrival was, maybe...
It feels like it just came out...
They're trying to protect us from ourselves.
10 years ago.
Arrival?
Yeah.
Like 2015, 14, 16, 17, something like that.
I'd say like 13, 14 maybe.
I think it was later than that. But
I think I was living in Hudson.
Okay, possibly. So, has that hot girl in it?
Amy Adams.
Oh, she's a banger.
Oh, yeah.
So, now it's like going towards that, but now the weather balloon comes up, and it looks like, almost in my mind, looks like the government said, now is a good time to start shooting them down because they think that it's a spy thing with the Chinese. And it's like...
Yeah,
They're
almost like they were
unrelated.
tracking all these objects, and they were like, "Ooh, weather balloon. If we shoot that down, we can shoot all these other ones down,
Yeah.
and they can be like, oh, it's all part of the same
Yep.
program or whatever."
Yeah.
But then why wouldn't they say they're all Chinese? Because China would say it's not them. Why should we trust them?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know how to answer this, but they're
We're
shooting
just
down,
talking.
and we're
We're
this,
just asking questions again. I hate
we're
people
asking
say
questions,
that, but we
and
are.
We are, and this is just starting.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if
Even if there's not going to be 4 or 5 more shoot downs this week, this is not going to just wind down over the weekend.
no.
I mean, the president just had a national address. He hasn't nationally addressed us about anything.
No.
I mean, a lot of shit's been going down every year, and it takes a lot of public pressure to make. And I think that not just came from the public; it came from Congress. I mean, there was a lot of. They had a briefing yesterday about. I was watching. I was getting my fucking oil change, and I think you know what I mean when I talk about that. And they were interviewing all these, Congress people, and they come from a classified meeting, so obviously they can only disclose how much they're gonna. But they all, I wouldn't say I believe them, but they all had the same mentality of like, they told us what they told you. It's this object, it's unmanned, we don't know what it is, we haven't found anything. They basically were all saying like, the president needs to address this because they didn't tell us shit, so they need to be held accountable because you're not going to believe us, so make him tell you. Mm-hmm. Which kind of seemed like the vibe for everyone they interviewed. Which they could have been lying, but they at least wanted to put the pressure on the president to say, you need to talk about this shit because they're going to ask us about it, and you guys didn't tell us enough, or you didn't allow us to disclose enough information to make us seem credible. So either they know more and they won't tell us, or they don't know anything. Either way, they want someone else to have the blame for that than them.
Yeah.
Because there was, like, a couple hundred people there in that meeting, and they all say, hey, it's the same as the news. One of the guys said, it's the same thing I read in the paper. You read in the paper? You're fucking part of the U.S. government. You read the same thing I did in the fucking Boston Globe? What the hell are you talking about? Either you're lying or it's really fucked up that they're not telling you anything.
Don't underestimate the government. So during 9/11, my aunt worked for the NSA, and she was between the Twin Towers and.
That's a rough place to be in that day.
It is. So she was usually at the Twin Towers or at the NSA headquarters outside of DC. Mm-hmm. And that day...
District of Columbia for all you viewers.
Yes, and we talked to her about that day because she was outside of DC. And the NSA,
you asked her, do you remember where you were on 9/11?
Yes, pretty much. But that she told us because we couldn't reach her for a couple days or whatever it was, and she was fine. But she told us, like, she told us exactly what happened to her that day because the major targets for the 9/11 terrorists...
And it was major targets her boss, or is that someone?
Major targets, sounds like it. No, but she was at the NSA headquarters, which I went to one day.
Did you?
We talked this on the podcast, I think.
Yeah, I forgot. I remember
The
you having it on
the
the
NSA had one and only Family Day.
Family Day.
And I went there and like
they brought you to Area 52. They're like, yeah, this is what it's all about.
Dude, it was crazy, dude. I went to we drove down to my aunt's house in somewhere around DC, and then went to the NSA Family Day at the NSA headquarters.
That seems like a sketch comedy bit. NSA Family Day.
NSA Family Day, dude, just like American Dad, and he's the CIA. But we go to the building. You can't go inside the building, but the whole parking lot was like a carnival. Not kidding at all.
They had pinned the crime on the black man.
They had McGruff the crime dog.
Yeah.
And then they had donut bobbing, apple bobbing and donut
boots of the
strings fur. You can win
Halloween
presents, just like that. And then they had
the dunk tank, except the guy's hands were tied behind his back.
They had the who can survive waterboarding longer as a kid.
They have pick the sketchy email. They have 100 emails. Seriously. You only have 30 seconds to find the guy who's the fucking sketchball.
Yeah. Who's good at phishing emails?
That sounds like a fun carnival.
I had a great time.
It's called.
Anyone out there who's went to the NSA?
No, it's called Patriot Place.
Yes, dude, that's exactly what it's called. Patriot Place. So,
you can go bowling.
It was great. It was my first time
for Columbine. All right, that's enough.
It was my first time holding MP5, and
first of many.
First of many. No, it was great. They had their commandos there, and they had a fold out table with a bunch of guns on it. And I was 9, and I was like,
yeah,
can I hold the MP5? They're like, yeah, man. I'm like,
thought you never asked Junior.
As a 9-year-old, the NSA Family Day.
No, he hands it to you. He clears the. Hold on a second.
he pulls back the bolt and he goes, see, it's empty. That's what they do. That's exactly what they do. When they hand you MP5,
To the kid, yeah.
they hand you
Clear.
MP5, they pull it back and they go, see, there's no rounds in there right now, and you can hold it. And I held all the guns.
That's
As
awesome.
a 9-year-old, I was like, this is awesome. I love NSA Day.
NSA Day rocks.
NSA Day rocks. Mom, I get to hold an MP5 today.
I can't wait until
sick.
2019 when they do the next one.
Yeah, exactly. So fun.
Fun stuff.
Great time.
Sometimes it's fun to be American,
Dude,
you know?
before cell phones, it's a good time.
It's a good time.
9-year-old, you want to hold an MP5 or a M4 or a tear gas launcher? You can't now. I did, though. It was fun.
Yeah.
Great
Well,
time.
I remember, I was about this up before, but the great radio personality turned maniac right-wing guy, Adam Carolla, said the best time to be alive in America was mid-Coke, pre-AIDS. And I think the next best time was pre-9/11, mid-internet. So like AOL,
Yes.
people had cell phones, and you could still walk into an airplane with like no security. Like, what a time to be alive. You could contact anybody, but no one was afraid of anything, and we were on top of the world. And a Democratic
wrong,
president
Dude, 1998.
added an economic boom to America, which will never happen again.
1998 was a good year, dude. Mm-hmm. So the whole point of the NSA is that
Backstreet was back.
Yep, my aunt.
It was before the millennium, but we were on the cusp of the millennium.
It's a good time, dude.
It's Big Willie style.
Good time. So the whole point of the NSA thing is my aunt said that they all got news that the Pentagon got hit and whatever it is, and they're a target.
I still can't believe the fucking Pentagon got hit.
The NSA building was a genuine target. They got intel. There's a target. And
Because they were been tracking Osama bin Laden for like 10 fucking years.
Yeah,
No wonder
exactly.
they want to hit that place.
yeah, so
If you look back
So
at
my
like the
aunt-
amount that we knew about Osama bin Laden before that happened, it's fucking gross. Like
he
I watched
worked for the CIA.
Yeah, I watched a news story
CIA
this
fucking-
week. It's from like the year.
He was on the payroll.
Yeah, I think it's 2001. It might be in 2000, but they're talking about like oh no, Osama bin Laden, the Saudi Arabian, blah blah blah, and they're like, and he says this and that, and it is insane to have them talking about Osama bin Laden before everything, because after that
I
happened,
know.
he was persona non grata forever. But to have the news be like, there's this guy Osama bin Laden, they have a picture of him, like we think he's hiding in the mountains in Afghanistan, but who knows where he is? Yeah, we know where he is now. He's fucking planning a 9/11. Fucking nuts. And the CIA knew that too. That's a whole other fucking
Insane.
podcast.
But yeah, exactly. Whole other podcast. We'll get into
We can't
that.
get into that.
We will. I mean,
NSA.
it's the Dylan Joe Basic podcast. We should might as
Yeah,
might
we
as
will
well
do
go
9/11 was an alien. That'd
Yeah,
be
right.
episode 100.
down. Yeah, exactly.
Osama bin Laden is Jesus, who is also an alien.
So no, but this is what she said about that day.
Okay.
As a person who works at the NSA, she
Talking
said
about
they-
like levels of security, like that's a pretty high level. Like you're gonna know more than most people are gonna know,
yeah, and she can't
especially
tell
during a
us
state
shit.
of emergency. And she can't tell. Yeah,
She can't still can't tell
But
shit.
in her brain,
But she,
she
that day
she knows.
what happened because she could tell us that day what happened is that they
Yeah.
were the target. You know what they all did? They ran to the windows to see if a plane was coming at them.
They wanted to just see if something was coming.
And my aunt was like, "Don't we have a way of knowing that an airplane's coming towards us?" Like
Besides our eyes?
she called out like, "Why are we at? We're the NSA. Why are we at the window looking for an airplane to hit
That's
us?"
such a good point.
But
Yeah.
so my whole point is that like they don't. It's not as sophisticated as it's a bunch
As
of
you
people
think.
still.
It's still people.
Still people. And she was
I
confused.
mean, we know
she was
people.
confused why everyone's out at the windows looking for an airplane to hit them. She's like, "Don't we have fucking radar or something? Like, isn't there some way of knowing that an airplane's coming towards us?"
Yeah.
Obviously, it never did. But it's crazy. Like, they don't. The people at the CIA, the NSA, the fucking all these things still are people.
It is important when you think about these
It's
global
not.
conspiracies.
We're not as protected
that
as you think.
you know what people are like, so we're all really dumb. Even the smartest people in the world are still have their moments of being a fucking idiot.
Yeah, nothing's as automated or as secure or as safe or whatever it is. There's still a human element to everything, and it's like
And there's decision making too.
decision making is the big part of it. So it's crazy. So right now, I think that someone fucked up with this disclosure. Like, we just shot down 3 UFOs, like genuine ones that you read about in books,
Yeah.
and now the government's like, what? We already told the public some shit that
You're thinking they want to
didn't-
unring the bell?
well they didn't have to tell us any of this because there's no eyewitnesses.
That's why I think I should say it has to do with the weather balloon, because people's eyes are on this, and I think that it's not the fact that people are going to notice them shooting down shit, is that they're trying to like flex their muscles a little bit here and be like, see, we can shoot down whatever happens. And also
Maybe it didn't even happen.
we're only noticing them because like we're casting a thinner net here, and that's what we're catching them. But it's like, why would you even tell us unless you wanted us to know?
Right. That's why it's so confusing. And so I just.
But you're telling us
I
that
just
you
came up
don't
with a
know, which
fourth
is also
theory.
eroding confidence. So, I mean, it is strange to be like, we don't know what happened, we shot it down. It's like, is that a brag, or you're kind of admitting that you don't know what the fuck's going on?
Right. And
It's a weird all around.
We don't think that. I don't think
I can't find the motivation.
I don't think they would. I can't either. I don't think they would do that. And the fourth thing I just came up with, which I don't believe, is that maybe that didn't even happen.
It may never happen. They can't find the debris.
All of them happened.
You can scramble the jets and
all
just
of them
fucking fly around and go
way
home.
out of everything. And the other thing that's interesting, actually, I also just came up with in my head, is that to shoot down the weather balloon, they started tracking it from Alaska to Idaho.
They deemed it
to
not
South
safe
Carolina,
enough to shoot down.
Not safe enough to shoot down, but then they shot down 3 UFOs over land for the most part. I know they were over Lake Huron and whatever.
But I would say Lake Huron and the Yukon territories easily overland. I mean, you can say it's not near a populated area, but it's not over the ocean.
No. But that balloon
You
at
start
one
a
point
forest
was
fire
over.
or whatever.
Dude, I just flew. I just was in Chicago O'Hare.
Yeah.
And I was at the window, and I was looking out the window the entire time all the way to Logan.
Looking for UFOs.
Definitely, I was. And do you know how many times we flew over giant bodies of water? Like Lake Huron was one of them.
The Great Lakes are enormous, obviously.
Yeah, exactly. So like, there's no way that balloon didn't go over some place where there was 500 square miles of places to shoot it down. But they shot over, over water. So they could have shot down that balloon probably 100 times before it did in a safe place.
Oh, you mean as it crossed the United States?
Yeah, exactly.
Of course.
Then they shot down 3 UFOs like in 2 seconds.
And there are hundreds of miles in the middle of America that even animals don't.
We were just there in Indiana. There's fucking not shit.
Not shit there. They could have easily shot it down, and it would have been easier to collect all of the debris and whatever else and study it.
So that's an interesting point, is that they waited for a balloon
over
to cross
Lake
the
Huron?
entire United States.
Yeah.
And then they shot down 3 UFOs in a heartbeat. And
something's going on,
not right here.
I mean, I'm not saying I know what's going on, and we never claim to know shit, but what the fuck's going on? It's something.
Yeah, something's up.
I mean, to me, this is a lot. This is the biggest UFO thing we ever talked about in the podcast, because it's bigger than, 2 years ago we had this thing redacted. We have the interview from one Navy pilot retired. Like, that's all easily written off. But this is not just the fact. I wouldn't say it's easily written off or not written off or taken seriously. It's the fact that the U.S. government has sanctioned current events. This isn't, by the way, during the Kennedy administration we did XYZ. This week we did this. The president addressed it today. Didn't tell us shit, but still addressed it, meaning we want you guys to know this is happening and we're on top of it. And we don't worry about this. We are going to shoot down anyone who's a threat to national security, and we have a big dick and all this stuff. It's interesting. It's odd, and obviously we're going to keep following it as it moves on, like we did for the other one. But to me, this seems a little bit more than anything we've ever covered on the show about this, because the U.S. government is currently doing it, and they're currently investigating it, and they're telling us everything along the way, which we're put a huge grain of salt on that, obviously, but they're at least doing the theater production of, we're telling you every step of the way. We're inviting Congress people to meetings where it's on the news. We're letting us all get out. We're coordinating with Canada. It's a whole thing.
Yeah, no matter how democratic our government is, no one's that liberal. No one who gets that point is like, let's all be open and just disclose everything and just be cool. The more people know, the more power. No.
And that's true for, science and truth and, actual reasonable stuff. But when it comes to threats, like you said, you put the hate, you put the fear in there, and everyone goes, don't tell anybody what's going on. Let's just kill them all and stop fucking thinking about it. Which is what the president gave as an excuse, saying, we're going to write a written plan on how to deal with this. And obviously we're not going to fucking tell you what we're going to do, because if we tell you, then we told the enemy. Right. And so we can't tell you, which is always a great excuse built in to say, even if we were going to tell you, even if there was a way to tell all of us only and not the enemy, like if there's a secret language only we spoke in America and no one else could know it, they still wouldn't tell us, but they have to think of a different excuse. So their excuse is, we can't tell you because then the enemy will know. Well, the enemy knows more than we do. We're the American public. So, obviously wouldn't tell us.
Is that the Russians know more about
foreign governments know more
our government's doing than we do.
Yeah,
no question.
So it's weird to be like, well, we can't tell you guys, or they might know. It's like, well, if we don't know, they fucking already do. So anything you can tell us, you can tell them.
Well, that's like so my people talk about like the moon landing being faked or whatever it is. Like, what's his name? Stanley Kubrick did the whole thing. It's like,
it's fucking
dude.
ridiculous.
He
got punished for making a great sci-fi movie to be like, you caused the fake conspiracy.
The only reason that I don't think the moon landing is fake, well, not the other reason, but like one is that we were in the Cold War at the height of the Cold War.
They would have loved to disprove it.
They probably did everything they could to disprove.
Yeah, they probably sent
but they probably
a second
they
rocket
probably had
just
a
to follow
fucking
us.
$50 telescope and watched the whole thing.
The whole thing, yeah.
They probably
would have
saw the
loved to
people on
deny
the
it.
moon ducking dancing.
Yeah,
you know, like
I
they were
totally
probably
agree.
like, we can't. It actually happened.
Yeah, it's like us with Sputnik. We would have loved to say they weren't first to do it, but it's so undeniable. You're like, that's what
exactly.
it is.
So it's
that's
like
a great point.
That's my whole point. On like,
don't forget, they're all against us
who denies
too.
the moon landing. It's like the Russians would have done everything in their power to be like, they fucking faked it.
Yeah, they would love to say that. Yeah,
they didn't, because they said, yeah, there's no disproving this shit.
Mm-hmm.
That's my theory on that. So
and that's why they killed Kennedy, because he said it didn't happen. You know, it's his idea.
They killed Kennedy because the Bay of Pigs was a botch, and then he didn't want the Vietnam War.
We have to do an episode on Kennedy, man.
Write that down. Dude, we got to do Kennedy.
You gotta do Kennedy.
Dom just said that we got to do World's Fair. Yes.
We're doing that one.
Kennedy. Yes.
Absolutely. Stay tuned, folks.
Because Kennedy brings...
We almost do all of our ideas.
Kennedy... Almost.
And all the ones that we didn't do, they weren't going to be that good anyway, so don't worry
right.
about
We're thinking of you guys.
Yeah.
Kennedy, Marilyn Monroe is involved in that. Like, there's so... Kennedy is...
Oh, I get really sexy with Kennedy.
Kennedy.
Oh, yeah. We can get into the whole Kennedy family and their wealth and how they came from that.
Oh, yeah, baby.
Fucking bootlegging and all that good stuff. That'd be a great
We got to do Kennedy.
Fuck yeah. So do you want to take our next break and then we'll get into the final segment? Right on. We'll see you guys on the next side of the Atlantic Ocean.
All right, guys, we're bringing you back after a real nice commercial break. I want to dedicate this episode to the sheep. Guys, see, we've brought a new member in the podcast. This is a nice sheep. Mm-hmm. He was probably used for food.
I hope so.
And we got him in Jerusalem. Put him in my backpack.
The Holy Land.
And he's good. And we're blessing him with a good life. And we thank him for everything he's ever done. And we're happy to have you in our pods.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
Chaim.
So, we're back after the UFOs and everything, and we think it's time for final thoughts, Joe. What do you think?
I think it's definitely time for final thoughts. I mean, obviously we could, like I was just saying, we could spin our wheels for another hour or two on this, but the ultimate truth is we don't have enough information yet, so this is more speculation.
Yeah.
And I think we should do final thoughts and kind of wrap up what we're at right now in our heads about it. So
yeah.
Do you want me to go first? You want to go first?
Yeah, sure. You go first.
Sure. So my final thoughts on this, a lot of the subjects we do on final thoughts, I can kind of like parse out my little mentality and little tic-tacs of knowledge and gather them all together and say I have this opening statement and Joe's gonna have this big fucking thing. I think this, I think that, whatever. But I'm just so up in the air about this, like a lot of our UFO stuff, that I really don't know where to come down. I have more questions than answers, which is the most UFO thing of all time, is you get more questions than answers.
True, yeah. The more you know, the less you know.
Exactly. The more you know you don't know shit.
Yes.
And that is how I feel about this. I think it's definitely worth mentioning what we brought up is that the weather balloon thing sparked this whole thing off. Either this has been happening and no one wanted to mention it until the weather balloon happened, or the weather balloon sparked a jubilee of objects. It seems completely unlikely. I mean, they even admitted that we'd seen more beforehand that I haven't heard about. So for me, I'm going to hold out a little bit, wait for more information. But as far as Skeptical Joe is concerned, this shit's weird. It's not explainable. And whether it's weird because the government's telling us about it, or whether it's weird because they don't know genuinely, it's all weird to me, which is equally as scary as it is exciting. Because in this fucking world, everything that comes out is obviously, it's same old bullshit again. Everyone wants money, everyone wants power. Let's have the two political parties split apart, blame this, blame that, come up with a crazy conspiracy theory about how this doesn't work or that doesn't work. And it's fucking tiring, man. I mean, obviously over the past, 4 or 5 years, I feel like it's gotten worse and worse and more grating on my brain. I get bored even hearing about new news stories, like hearing about things like in Ukraine where I'm like, this is important stuff, and I can't even listen to it anymore because it's just like depressing, and people are arguing clear facts, like someone gets shot in Ukraine and then someone goes like, the sky's not blue and gravity doesn't exist. It's like, can we just fucking focus on one thing ever? And I'm glad that we live in a world now where information is so openly available that it's not like a monolith of knowledge where it's like, the sky is blue. We all agree. Like, I don't want the world to be that way, but it would be nice to get back to some semblance of truth and just kind of, can we at least agree on a couple things? Like, we need to breathe and stuff, but even people are like, we don't really need to breathe. If you don't know you're in a simulation, you don't have to breathe at all. Like, no one can just agree on anything. And the idea of some kind of unidentified flying object missile program that's going on here is exciting to me because it's something we can all kind of hang our hat on. And I'm sure as soon as more information comes out, people will split into little groups and they'll get all pissed off about it, and then I'll get sick about it again. But as of right now, this is a nice frontier. I think it's exciting, it's interesting, it's equally as terrifying as it is spectacular. And I'm looking forward to hearing more about it, and we'll definitely keep you tuned in to Dylan Joe Baseball Podcast. My final thoughts are, I don't know what's going on, but I'm fully interested. I'm going to stay skeptical, but I'm going to stay as open-minded as I can because we really don't know what's going on here, and I'm going to find out more.
My final thoughts are this. Big hug, dude.
Oh, buddy.
I think it's really Joe's an honest guy. He's really honest about his skepticism and this type of stuff, and it's nice to, not that I'm right, but it's
well,
nice.
You're never right.
It's not, I'm never right, but it's nice to see a topic where
Joe's
Joe's
right.
like,
you're more right
Joe's
than ever.
like, there's something here, and that means a lot because I think you'd be crazy if you didn't say that.
Yeah, and I would be, I think.
And
yeah.
I agree with everything he just said because it's like there's too much. And I think the reason, this is my final thoughts, is it's just piggybacking on what Joe said.
Sure.
In a simpler way of saying it is that I think that there's less control right now in the U.S. government to what it used to be throughout the past of our government. Sounds like a dumb statement, but when...
You think it's because there's more information available?
No.
Okay.
I don't know.
I won't interrupt you again.
I think that the information is the same. There's no more information. There is, but there isn't. The heart of it is the same, and there's less of the same people. So nothing to do with Joe Biden, nothing to do with those guys or whatever it is. There's less. It's Edgar Hoover.
J. Edgar Hoover.
There's less men in this world like J. Edgar Hoover and Lyndon B. Johnson types who are running the background of things and controlling all of this shit. So there's more, the generations have changed. The backbones of those people who hold up this house of cards that they designed to, they all had their narratives back then with Project Blue Book and all these other things, and they wanted to hold up this stuff, and they were the CIA and the FBI and the NSA and all these things. Those guys, that guy that was born in the 20s or 10s, who were
don't forget they weren't born in 1950.
no,
They were born way before. Now
Right.
they're old men.
and those were the guys that were holding and protecting these secrets so tight, and there were so many people. They would kill each other over these secrets, and then all of a sudden, if you gave out some information, it's about information. If you gave out some information, you'd end up dead. Like if you like I said Lyndon B. Johnson because we think Kennedy was killed for a lot of reasons, and one of them is that he was one of us.
Information is still
our,
the most valuable commodity in the world today.
Exactly, and
It's more valuable than oil. Look at Google. They're not an oil company.
it's true. Information.
They're an information
Mind
company.
viruses spread faster than viruses, real ones, anything else. So
You don't
that
need
generation
to transmit it in the same room. You can transmit it across the globe with a click.
Exactly, and those guys held up this, like I said, house of cards that eventually just collapsed because now everyone has more information, and they're more. I would say I don't want to say this because I am a democratic liberal, but I'm somewhere in the middle. Everyone's realizing that if we're going to hold those strict constructs and values that someone else created to protect something that we don't even know. Like in 1947, what were they protecting us from? It was God. And now that's all blown out of the fucking shit.
Yeah.
Everyone's just trying whatever. And those strict, tough guys that smoked cigarettes in their offices and had a glass of scotch, that were tough motherfuckers that had people killed because all of a sudden they got a word of things, or they saw a tape, or they saw the UFO.
Yeah, knew too much.
They knew too much. They had them killed. Those guys they're all dead.
Yeah.
Those guys are fucking long gone. Yeah. So now the new group of government is coming in, and they're more like interested and excited and want to make a difference. And like our generation has a hard time working when there's no meaning. Back then they didn't. They worked because they worked.
The meaning was the work.
The meaning was the work. That was their life purpose. That was this. So they would go home to their wives and be closed off. And whatever.
Also, they didn't have Plan B, so we should always...
They didn't have Plan B. And now everyone's more open and more interested in like what this existence, what this reality, what's this consciousness, what's this whatever it is, what's the world around us, what's the world outside of our world. And it's opening up, and you can't control that. It's out. It's gone. So now... I think the Chinese balloon that got shot down, I think Biden handled that just fine, actually. I know you don't, but like watching it, observing it, shooting it down over waters or whatever it is, whatever.
For the record, I wouldn't even say he didn't handle it well. I'm just saying that like the fact that he's like posturing to be like, I handled it fine. I don't like that. I'm not saying he handled it poorly. I'm just saying like
sucks at everything. So
yeah. I wouldn't even say he handled it poorly. I was just saying like I just hate when people are like, and I'm gonna kowtow to all people who are my. It's like when you feed the trolls. Like, don't feed the trolls. Like, if you think what you did was right, stand by your decision. Don't go. And that was the right move. All you're doing is inviting more people to say, no, it wasn't. No, it wasn't.
Yeah, that's a really good point. But I think, he did the right thing, but he talked about it shitty.
Yeah.
So, I just think that it's just the fact that the government in the 60s was those guys. The guys like I mentioned, Johnson, Edgar Hoover, J. Edgar
countless
Hoover.
other people we probably don't know their names.
Billion other those guys who were part of these projects that like held them
George
close.
H.W. Bush, head of the CIA.
Yes, all those guys were like those guys who just didn't talk a lot and smoked cigarettes and had people killed. Those guys are all dead.
Yeah.
So now there's a new group of people, and it's slowly dissolving into a more open, sourced group of people who come from different places, and it's more open. And now they're like, so the reason I'm saying this is because we shot down the Chinese balloon. That is what it is. Then they quickly shot down 3 UFOs and then immediately disclosed it to us, which I think was a mistake. I don't think it was a mistake, but it completely...
It was a mistake to disclose it?
Yeah, because it blows out the water. Now there's a thing there that they have to deal with, and they might be shitting their pants.
They're going to have to either like quietly...
We might not see another one get shot down for a while, or we might see one get shot down tomorrow. I don't know, but it's either one or the other.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I don't know. This is a really interesting time to be alive because we just don't know.
And I think that was... I mean, this is no insult to your ability to carry on a conversation in a podcast, but I have to say personally, that might have been one of your best final thoughts I've ever heard, man. That was very well done, man.
Thank you.
And you opened my mind. I just talked to you for fucking 2 hours, and I still was like, oh, fuck, that's a fucking good point. I didn't think of that. So, I don't know. For my vote, if I could put the Oscars up for best final thoughts of all time, I'd put Dylan up there, round 1.
I think we should put this out there and see what the community thinks about our statements.
Best final thoughts, nominations.
Good final thoughts, and you can thank Pickle Beer from Lord Hobo.
Pickle Beer. He's not kidding. It's actually pickle.
It's Pickle Beer. It's made with Grillo's pickled brine from Lord Hobo in Woburn, Mass.
Good God. Well, it's been a great one.
Producing some good UFO thoughts.
Absolutely. And, of course, as we always will...
See you next week.
If more information... Yeah, there you go. Now, if more information comes out, we're going to update you. But like that happened with Disclosure last time, we got all excited about it, and then nothing happened. So
what was that one?
That was the David Traver, the UAP, over the coast.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
And then they released the documents a month later, and then it was like... We updated it during Vampires. We're like, yeah, they didn't say shit. But we'll update you as we go along. We like to do these, as currently as we can, because we're big UFO guys, obviously. Yep. It's the cornerstone of our podcast, so we'll keep updating you on it. But until then, just keep watching the skies. I don't know. Yeah, keep watching the skies. Go outside and do us all a favor. Look at the sky more. Like, seriously. If you actually... It's right there. No one does. It's right up. It's right up. No one looks at the sky.
Just lay on your back.
It's free also.
Lay on your back somewhere and just watch it. Just give it 10 minutes. Just see.
You never know what you're gonna see, I should say.
Yeah, I did in Israel, and I do this, not as frequently as I wish, but you might see something. No one looks at the sky enough. That's why you don't see things.
It's right there.
You might see satellites. You might see airplanes. Airplanes are really fun to watch.
You might see a weather balloon.
You might see a weather balloon. You might see all sorts of stuff. Just look. We're all looking at our phones. Look at the sky. It's really fun.
Gonna wrap it up.
Love you guys. See you next week. Dylan Joe Basement Podcast, episode 70. Well,
3?
are we counting total ones?
No, we're not.
Okay, so episode 73.
Dylan's back, baby! Woo! The last thing we want is to have our military look worse than Canada. That's worse than the balloon being there.
Exactly.
The groundhog came out 2 days earlier. He said 6 more months of UFOs.
He sure did.
He did.
That's what he said. You know whose fucking balloon it was?
Probably America's.
Probably. Exactly. Probably ours.
By the way, everything we say about China, don't think we're not fucking doing it right now.
Yeah.
We definitely have weather balloons over China right now.
For sure. And they said that we did.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we probably do.
That's
So,
fine. And they went to get the groundhog. It was dead. What does that mean?
God, that's not good.
It's a bad omen,
That's
right?
not good.
That can't mean anything.
That's not good. That's not good for anyone.
It's not a bay. It's not as small as a bay, but it's like a giant bay.
It's not a box.
It's not... And God willing, one day we could buy Twitter.
Like one day someone saw Vern von Braun and said,
that could be me.
that could be me.
Anything.
It's too many people talking.
It's just
no one
arguing
wants
about
to
bullshit.
watch two guys sitting on a couch talk all day.
They're still talking. It's fucking boring.
It's stupid.
It's involved.
It's like Morgan and Morgan firing Morgan.
That's going at the end for sure.
Why don't you tell me?